Today's Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
Live from the Star in Frisco, it's week 9 of Texas high school football. It's Whataburger Friday Night Stars from the Star. And what a week we've got planned out for everybody involved. My goodness, we've got rivalry games, crucial district matchups, and playoff implications all around the DFW area. Welcome in to the SWBC Mortgage Studios. Kyle Yeomans alongside Zach Wolchuk, Heckma Harrison, and glad to have Eric Chiafalo back from his 1 week hiatus.
Hey, thank you guys.
I hope you're okay. Are you good?
I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm well. My car brought me here, so everything is good.
Fantastic.
So we can't call that jury duty, right?
No, that was not jury duty.
It honestly sounded worse.
The police were involved, though. No jury duty, but the police were there.
We won't at least give details, but at the same time,
or maybe we will.
Yeah, maybe we will.
We'll see how.
We'll see how
the night goes.
Yeah.
See young night.
It's very early, Kyle.
Oh, one of the worst days you could ever ask for. Kind of, it felt like it was straight out of a movie. How bad it was. But
almost as bad as if you played 11 overtimes and lost the football game.
Yeah,
almost
a little bit.
that bad, but not quite.
Or put up a score that was like 63-7 or whatever we ended up having on here. So,
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
If you were here, I feel
what
like we would
happened.
have avoided that, but.
Well, I'm sorry, fellas. I'm back. I'm better than ever. I'm feeling good. I'm excited. Playoff implications all over the place. And we got some weather. We got a little bit of...
I like it.
We got some playoff weather. It's October football, gentlemen.
And I feel like that's a huge point to hit on tonight because we even saw it last night. I mean, there was some sloppy football being played across the DFW area.
Yep.
And it's even worse today because it hasn't stopped raining. It's been a constant rain, which...
It's chilly, too, fellas.
Putting a little chill in the air.
It's probably one of the coldest nights of the year.
I think it is one of the coldest nights.
If not the coldest. So the pads will be popping.
So it's big guy weather.
It is big guy weather.
It's big guy
the
weather.
lines are going to be a
baby.
factor tonight. Who's got the best offensive line? Probably going to win the football game.
You know, and that's a good point because even looking at last night, I mean, DeSoto and Mansfield Summit, we'll get into that game very shortly here, but overall, I mean, that was just a sloppy game. I mean, we saw Saxe and Lakeview Centennial. I mean, that was just turnovers left and right.
One of the wildest endings you'll ever see to a football game.
We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment as well. But going into tonight, like we said, rivalry games, battle for the red rail, battle for the mound, like going all the way over the rivalry games that are on the tap tonight. I mean, it's going to even throw that much more of a wrench into it with the weather that's at hand.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where you hit on it about the defensive line. It's going to be a battle in the trenches, but it's also going to come down to who can score points. Kickoffs, you obviously won't be able to. Field goals are out of the question on a night like tonight. But I will.
Sorry, Central.
It's just one of those things that we may have to consider. But at the same time, you know, a lot of these teams are going to have to be battled. They're going to have to learn how to play through conditions like this because come November, this is Texas, and this is the way it is.
Well, there you see the final score from last night. One of the wildest games, like Zach said, that you'll ever see. 8 turnovers total, 4 on each side. And, I mean, sloppiness didn't stop Summit from being able to throw the football. Just an unbelievable game overall.
Well, the one thing about the weather is it's a great equalizer. When you get a sluggish kind of field, those teams that want to push the ball and the spread offense that's taken over Texas high school football,
right.
All of a sudden that's a struggle to do. You know, your footing's messed up, wide receivers, they're not able to cut as smoothly. You've got to be able to run the football in a game and kind of, you know, tonight and moving forward in the postseason, not a lot of teams are always going to be playing when it comes to an indoor venue, maybe here like the Star at AT&T Stadium. They're going to be playing outside in the weather, in the conditions, and last night it proved to be an extreme equalizer for Summit in a game that nobody thought they'd have a chance against DeSoto.
And you see just on the field, the turf there at Vernon Newsom Stadium, I mean, overall, it turned into just the swampland, and an impressive play right there at the end that kind of put Summit up in that football game. And
he
overall,
made that dude fall.
Yeah, you see that? Oh
Kyle's just going to gloss over it like it didn't happen.
Ankle breaker.
Wow, that is a very, very nice move on the water. I mean, very impressive.
it's tough to do. It's almost like water skiing, and then you see Summit here at the end having a late drive, late in the ball game, an impressive catch on the near sideline, and then they find their way into the end zone, in the back of the end zone, and what was a wild grab. Oh, this is later in the football game. That was knocked away in that one. But overall, just a fun night to kind of go forward and see the sloppiness, but still a lot of fun in really what that game ended up being.
Yeah, I wanted to say, like last year, guys, with all of the rain that we had last year, there was obviously a lot of teams that were a lot better than their record said that they were, and a lot of teams that went on that were a lot were worse teams than we thought they were because of the weather all last year. These raining conditions, when I looked at this game, one of the things that really kind of I was taken aback by is because you know from football having the experience that most teams during weather like this, they run the ball. Summit didn't do that. Summit aired it out.
I love it.
And so conventional wisdom would tell you in situations like this, cold, wet, rainy, run the football.
Take care of the ball.
Take care of the ball. That's what DeSoto's prescription was last night for Summit. We're just going to run the ball. We're going to milk the clock. But no, big plays by Summit last night. Some of those plays that we just witnessed, I mean, those were backbreakers for DeSoto. That one play right there, that one touchdown. The deep ball.
The ankle breaker.
And the thing about it is, those plays were covered. This guy was catching the ball in between two defenders.
And those balls kind of hung up in the air. The receiver had to come back to it. Great job by Brendan Searles. You had Jalen Travis making one of those catches. Really nice job by the receivers to come back and play the football there. And again, weather, wind conditions in this one, that makes it tough. But for Summit, you needed to just say, all right, guys, we're going to go for broke. This is a big game. DeSoto's undefeated.
Right.
A lot of people aren't giving us a chance. Let's just give it a shot. And they did, and it worked out in their favor. Big, big win that really
amazing.
shakes up 7-6-8. Now you got a potential, if things kind of go with DeSoto and Cedar Hill playing the final week of the season, you could have three teams with one loss. They all kind of beat each other. Maybe a three-way tie. We saw a two-way tie for the district championship. Maybe
Don't
a three-way
like
tie
that,
in District 7-6-8. That's why it's the District of Doom, right?
No doubt.
It's crazy.
It's tough week in, week out. And Summit, I mean, I tweeted this out last night. I said, oh, hello there. It's kind of like they've been under the radar. Maybe it was because they barely came out with a win over Mansfield, which is a team that we're looking at as maybe the worst team in that district other than like a Mansfield Legacy or some of the other squads there. But just not an impressive win for Summit. And then you turn around and all of a sudden they're 7-1, and they've got a legitimate opportunity to make some noise in District 7-6A. We've got Guy Frazier on the line. Guy was at this ball game last night covering it for Friday Night Stars. Guy, welcome back onto the show, as we had you last week filling in for Eric and did a magnificent job, but you got a pretty good ball game to go to last night.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Is Eric good? Is Eric back in his seat? Did I keep it warm for him?
Yeah.
Are we all good to go?
So warm. It's never felt better. I appreciate it, Guy. You did a fantastic job last week. I'm surprised they even wanted me back. I figured this was your job.
Well,
now.
I voted for you, Guy.
No.
The other two wanted the better looking person. So.
Take that, Guy.
Shots fired. Big time.
But yeah,
What's up, fellas? Yeah, no, it was a great game last night. Yeah, what do y'all want to talk about with it?
well, just kind of go through. It was kind of an odd atmosphere with the rain and with the sloppiness early on.
But how many delays did you have, Guy? Was it 3 different delays?
It was 3, so we were delayed before the game even got started. But we got started about 7:20 or 7:30, so it wasn't that bad. Then we had another delay. We actually had 2 delays in the first half, and one of them coming a minute before actual halftime. Then we did a 10-minute halftime, and then we played the second half without any more delays. But it ended up being 3 in total.
Just a game overall, though, not a big crowd, but still such big implications on really a district that, of course, around the area is known to be one of the tougher ones in the entire state. But kind of talk to us about what impressed you about Mansfield Summit last night and what they were able to do despite the weather conditions.
Right. Well, that was my first taste for both of those programs this season. And, we kind of always know what DeSoto has. And Summit last year was left on the outside looking in. When the playoff brackets were set, so I didn't really know what to expect of them. One thing that did surprise me was their starting quarterback. His name is what's his name? Kanan McKinney, who's I think his older brother actually
It's
played.
like an old man right now, and he's so young. What's his
I know that name. I know every name.
Right. So anyway, the thing that impressed me though about last night was just their fight. Yes, the conditions and all that, but they actually rotated two quarterbacks with for actually most of the game. It was funny. You'd actually have one guy out there one snap, and then the very next play you'd have the other guy, David Hopkins. It was David Hopkins and Phoenix Meza going back and forth, and they're both sophomores, so it's a big-time spot for two 10th graders to go out there and try and get a win for their Summit Jags, and they did. And the thing that kind of impressed me was, despite it being monsoon-type conditions and, going up, I think, which direction? It was the scoreboard side of the field. You just had, just wind that was coming in your face, and the rain was going sideways. And they were able to throw into it. And some of those balls, like y'all were saying, where the ball was just hanging up in the air, give their receiving corps credit. They went up and got it. And they just showed a lot of fight last night. And were able to, make some turnovers happen in the second half and really kind of slow down the DeSoto offense that blew up in the second quarter there when they scored 20 points. So, give Summit credit. They just fought hard. And, one of my things going into the game was they just had to stay around and steal one there at the end, and that's exactly what they did.
Hey, Guy, the Muhammad, number 7 for DeSoto, all-world cornerback. I think he's going to Oklahoma. He's going to Oklahoma State.
Yes.
I was really shocked because the back end of DeSoto's defense is just as strong as their front end. How were they able to accumulate so many yards against DeSoto's secondary?
Well, Jabbar, despite he's like you said, he's incredibly talented, but he is a little undersized. He's 5'10", and you look at some of those Summit receivers, Jalen Travis is 6 foot. Brendan Searles, kid going to McNeese State, is 6'1". Hal Presley, who really impressed me just from the size of him, he's 6'3", 185, and he's got offers from a list of schools as well. So they had some big body kids playing receiver. And DeSoto's secondary wasn't extremely, ginormous from a height standpoint. So they kind of bodied them a little bit. And so when some of those balls were just hanging up in the air, like we've referenced a couple times now, they were just able to go up and get those balls. And they just won those battles last night, which was huge, obviously.
So you have those kind of, would you call this a little bit of flukiness, if you will, here, Guy? Like DeSoto, clearly the better team, but you're just kind of
flukiness.
Where you're throwing them up in the air, and your receiver's just coming down and making a play for you. I mean, it was a 1-point game. It seems like DeSoto puts up 20 points in the second quarter. I think most people are like, all right, DeSoto's the better team here. If they play 10 times, how many of these is Summit actually going to pull out?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like Shamar Turner for DeSoto was out. Their big-time strong side defensive end that's got offers from, you name it, he's got it. Oklahoma, Texas A&M. So he was out. So they had some guys that were injured, but I don't know. It was hard to get a real taste for each team last night with the conditions, Chuck. With that said, I was really impressed with Summit's front on defense. Guys like Charles. And forgive me if I say this last name wrong, but Ezinagu, I think is how you pronounce it, and then Cameron Washington, who I kind of knew about going into the game. They were animals up front, and they really, pressured Samari Collier quite a bit throughout the night. And, give DeSoto's front line on defense credit too, but, Summit just got it done on defense. So,
Well, clearly,
the
DeSoto couldn't throw the ball, but they had
couldn't.
almost 2 100-yard rushers on the ground.
Right. So, I don't know. I would say Summit got it done when they needed to, and that was in the second half. And I think they deserve some sort of credit for that. If they were to play out of 10 games, I don't know what you'd get. I mean, I would probably lean towards DeSoto, but I don't know if that's fair. Last night was such a weird night, and just it was hard to really judge either team.
A fun game, though, nonetheless, in the sloppy conditions, kind of adding to what was a crazy night at Vernon Newsom Stadium. Guy Frazier joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Guy, thanks so much. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon. You've got a pretty good game tonight as well.
Yeah, it's another big one for just playoff projections and district standings with Dallas Carter and Wilmer Hutchins. Wilmer Hutchins really trying to solidify a playoff spot, and Carter really just trying to keep theirs. I've got them slotted as the 2 seed right now in 8-4 D1. So, Two schools that are kind of right on top of each other geographically, and should be a good one.
Should be indeed, and we'll talk to you again about that soon. Guy Frazier on Friday Night Stars. We'll talk to you again, man.
Hey, fellas, have a good show.
There he goes. And Guy, of course, like we said, great job last week filling in for Eric, and he was all over that game last night. I mean, that was a fun one, back and forth, and a 1-point win for Mansfield Summit moving forward. And Zach, like you said, I mean, just plenty of playoff implications surrounding that one.
2 7-1 teams now.
Yeah,
and sitting at the top of that district.
Shakes up a lot of things, especially for Mansfield Lakeridge too. I mean, Mansfield Lakeridge really hurt in their playoff potential there. So moving forward, Garland, Lakeview, Centennial, and Saxe had themselves an interesting ball game last night as well. You talked about 8 turnovers in the first game between DeSoto and Mansfield Summit. Well, we almost matched that. We had 6 last night, and most of them were fumbles between the two squads. Each team had 3 turnovers, and Saxe comes out on top, 17-14, in what was one of those just downright sloppy struggles from the get-go.
This was wild. I mean, coming into it, so Lakeview Centennial, everyone goes to see Kamar Wheaton, who's the number 1 running back in the class of 2021. They're coming off a 3-game winning streak, but Saxe's really kind of gone ahead and righted the ship, looking for their 3rd straight district title. They came in at 5-2, 3-1 in district play. They took the lead with a touchdown entering the 4th quarter on a Garnett Burke 54-yard touchdown run. So they're up 14. They're up 10-7. The Lakeview Centennial then comes back. They're up 14-10. So they're in pretty good position here. Saxe turns the ball over on downs. Lakeview Centennial defensively makes the stop. So they come out. Kamar Wheaton, here we go. This is what we want here. We're just going to run out the clock. They fumble. Saxe gets the football back. They end up converting a 4th and 10. So they're down to 1 play.
Impressive.
It's 4th and 10. They convert it. They get down to the Lakeview Centennial 18-yard line. 3 plays later, 18-yard touchdown for the Saxe Mustangs. It was a controversial catch from what I've heard. It was one of those, it was right down to the ground. Receiver kind of, you're not sure, maybe the ground helped him maintain the catch.
Instant replay.
But it's so close. We don't have instant replay in the regular season right now in high school football.
Good.
The refs went ahead, they had a conference call about it. They deemed it a touchdown. And Saxe comes back. They go ahead and get that win 17-14. Unbelievable play. Xavier Foreman to Jaden Hunter for the game-winning touchdown there with about a minute left, 1 second, I think it was on the clock. And Saxe gets a 17-14 victory to put themselves in position again to win their 3rd straight district title. What a game it was. Just when you think we have no shot, Lakeview Centennial, so many opportunities to close that one out, and they just weren't able to get the job done.
And it was definitely a game that Lakeview Centennial needed, man. My heart, I cry for Kamar Wheaton because this young man is having an awesome year, but to fumble like that and cost his team, I know he's got to be hurting today.
Yeah, you did cry about it. He FaceTimed me and everything. He was broken up last night. It was like,
he got 31 carries, 31 touches last night. Only 64 yards.
I mean, they were on it.
You've got to give Saxe's defense a lot of credit to be able to contain him. Of course, the turnovers were a big factor of this, but for Saxe, really both teams played a pretty clean game. But Saxe just 1 penalty. They were obviously a very disciplined football team. You know you're always going to get that when it comes to Saxe. They're usually going to pack a good defense, and they're going to be a very disciplined unit when you play them. Early on in the season, they were struggling with that a little bit, but it seems like they have really gone ahead and gotten back to the Saxe way. A huge win for them.
And we thought this was a Saxe team earlier in the year, like you said, that just didn't necessarily look up to par. And maybe it was because of the early loss that they did sustain, and we kind of wrote them off from then on out. Well, it looks like that's not necessarily the case. I mean, they look like they're for real. Lakeview Centennial squad, that's a tough team to beat overall. I mean, there's a reason why Lakeview Centennial is 5-2 on the year, but a big win last night for Saxe. And after the game, Joshua Price got an opportunity to catch up with the main man for the Saxe Mustangs.
Okay, I'm here with Coach Mark Veterans, and Coach, you guys just won an insane one. It went right down to the wire. Can you just give me your emotions right after that win?
I tell you what, the defense played great all night long, and they popped a couple, but they've got some great speed over there, and our old kids played their tails off. Offensively, we're grinders. We try to find a way to win, and backup receiver Jaden Hunter made a great catch down there in the end zone. On the ball was a little bit short, but hey, he made the play.
Yeah, in a rating day like this, does that grinding mentality come into this?
Well, we grind every week, man. That's what it's been all year long, and I knew it going into it, and I'm so proud of these kids.
And you and Lakeview Centennial were in a fight for first place, and this certainly has earned you first place. What's the key to staying here?
Well, we got to win football games, but we've been there before. That's the thing. We won several district championships in a row. We've been there before, and we're going to continue to work our tails off to try to repeat.
All right, thank you very much, Coach. Enjoy your crazy win.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
You can tell just how emotional of a win that was and how nitty-gritty that ended up having to be in order to come down with a win in that one. Just a fun night overall. And you alluded to this earlier, the catch that won the game for Saxe. I've got it on the tag board.
Perfect.
Let's take a look. So kind of go for yourselves here, whether or not you think that that this was a good catch for Saxe. It's in the back right corner of the end zone. The play takes a little bit here to kind of develop, but you see it's kind of an underthrown football right underneath, and then that's it right there.
Oh, that's catch. I
I'd
can
say
tell
he
one
scoops
look.
it. I think he gets underneath there and makes it happen.
I looked at it a lot of different times and tried to pause it right, and I couldn't tell. I mean, I don't know how the referees made a sound, but it's touchdown. I mean, you can't.
Not only does it
take that away.
stand, it is confirmed. Call on the field
Lakeview
is a
Centennial
touchdown.
begs to differ, but Saxe's with you.
Very, very Saxe.
Not even standing. It's the confirmation. We got it. Good touchdown. Plays good.
Right
Jaden
on
Hunter.
top of it.
Xavier Foreman, kings of the school today. I mean, that's a great way to wake up on a Friday. You know, you're about to head into the weekend. You got an extra couple of days off. You just dominated Thursday night. The game-winning grab. Let's go enjoy school on a
Heck,
Friday,
Friday's gonna be
ladies
awesome.
and
And
gentlemen.
for Xavier Foreman, he struggled at periods throughout the night, but he made 2 monster plays there. Converts that 4th and 10
Ice
for
in
the
his
first
veins,
down,
Wolchuk.
and then boom, 3rd and 10. There's the
Ice in his
18-yard
veins?
That's
touchdown
right.
strike.
Ice in his veins on a
Oh,
cold October night. He was the coldest thing
Literally.
on the field, baby.
Big time.
Ice
When
in
it
his
mattered
veins.
most.
Big time X right there.
And a big win for Saxe overall. Let's move on to McKinney North and John Tyler. Did we really expect McKinney North to win this football game? Pretty much, yes. But the way they did it in a dominating fashion, I think I'm going to kind of lean on that a little bit. A balanced fashion. Running a football, throwing the football, and despite 3 turnovers, they still have a 2-score win over John Tyler last
Yeah,
night.
it could have been easier for North if they had not turned the ball over so many times, particularly early on in that game. They actually got down 21-9 in the first half, and then they took a nice second quarter run, and they had 20 unanswered points. This game ended up coming down to a failed Hail Mary attempt by John Tyler. On their last drive, they were moving the ball down the field. Time got away from them, and they had to just heave the ball up, and it obviously fell incomplete. So North gets the victory, but certainly not the type of victory you want if you're McKinney North. You wanted to probably get out there, play cleaner football, but again, in the weather like it is, you're probably going to see some turnovers. I think it's actually more impressive. You spot them, basically 3 turnovers. You spot them, double-digit points early on in that game.
Almost
you're able
400
to fight back.
yards on the ground.
Yeah, you're able to go fight back and win the football game. So I think it's an impressive win, and good for McKinney North. Dylan Markowitz counted for 3 touchdowns, a couple through the air, 1 on the ground. So he's back to doing his thing, and he's one of those players that we've loved all season long.
And North, a good story. 8-1 now. They're undefeated in district play. Their only loss was in non-district to Frisco Wakeland. So if you're Wakeland, you can pump your chest a little bit about that to knock off a good McKinney North team. I think last night they made some stops defensively, which was a good sign for them. We know they can put up a bunch of points. They started the season, every game they played, it seemed like they were putting up 60 points or more. Dylan Markowitz, one of the best quarterbacks in the area. But the McKinney North Bulldogs, that'll be a fun team to watch moving forward, see if they're able to make any noise once playoff season starts.
What's going on with John Tyler? I mean,
I think they
that's
graduated a lot.
They
from
did
last
lose
year's
a lot,
squad
but they
that
almost
should've
knocked off Highland Park here at the Ford Center. That was an unbelievable game, and a lot of people will look at it and say they had a legitimate opportunity to take that out of Highland Park's hands, but instead this year 3-5 now.
But 3-1 in district play, so they'll probably
That's
still
good.
be a playoff team. But they did graduate a lot, and I think they took their lumps early on for that. But you can see once they got into district, this being their first district loss, they seem like they're kind of slowly starting to figure things out. Some of those younger guys that started the season replacing some of those seniors, now they're getting a little more seasoning as they get into the second half of the season. So John Tyler's a team that's a tough loss to McKinney North, but depending on their matchups when it comes into the opening round, that could be a team that may be in the bye district. That could be an upset looming. It's a team maybe you don't really want to see in that first or second round of the postseason if they're able to get there. So that's a team we should keep an eye on there with the Lions.
Yeah, and kind of also staying back to last year and a team that a lot of people thought should have won a state championship or had an opportunity to it. How many people last year or at this table thought that I'll ask you specifically, Heckma.
Okay.
Who was the best defense in the state last year?
Duffel bag boys, Duncanville.
The Panthers.
Did you see what they did last night to
Oh,
WT
yeah, man.
White?
WT White made them sweat all night last night, man. It was a close game. I mean, I can't believe it. We were on upset alert all night last night, guys. Did you stay up watching this game?
I turned it off once the starters left after the first series.
You did. You turned it off. Man, let me tell you something, man. The
poor
Duffel
WT
Bag
White.
Boys are
I felt
back,
bad for the rest of the country. That was a national TV game.
Man, let
statement
me tell you something. The duffel bag is back.
Holy smokes.
The
What does that
duffel
say?
bag.
Is that a typo there on
That's
the
not a typo.
Goodness
The
gracious.
duffel bag is back. I'm telling you, Duncanville's defense, guys, they are all over the place. Chris Thompson, man, you talk about nasty.
2 first downs.
Nasty.
He's nasty.
Nasty. And the other thing about it is, guys, look, you want to talk about this game? Okay, fine.
3 yards passing.
They killed him. All right, look. All right, shout out to WT White, and I got a bunch of friends go to WT White.
Shut out. Heck, man, this might be the giddiest I've ever seen him all year.
The best thing,
just
think about that
relishing
as
in
an offense.
Duncanville's success.
The best thing you did all night was throw for 3 yards. That's your best statistic that you get to go home with and feel good about.
No turnovers. They didn't turn the football over.
Actually, you know what? High five right here, Kyle. Great point by you.
Not a ton of penalties.
I would have anticipated about 100 turnovers last night.
There's silver lining in that cloud. But the thing is, guys, we want to go to the facts of the matter. Is Duncanville is hurting from last year's state championship loss. That was an ESPN worthy. Touchdown.
30 for 30 worthy.
Yeah, maybe.
Are you kidding me?
What if I told you Hail Mary would win a state championship?
I mean, I've never seen anything like that. But guys, you see that Duncanville defense; they are all over the place. Chris Thompson Jr., Auburn commit, man, guy is a beast, a dog, a goblin. This dude is everywhere.
I'm so sorry if you get hit by him.
I'm
sorry in advance.
Look, here's the point. Look, we look to Houston. We have a guy that comes in here from the old coast that tells us everything that's going on down in South Texas, right?
Nick Harris.
And Nick Harris is all about, Katie's doing the thing, looking real good, Katie.
He does a great Nick Harris.
And then he says, Galena North Shore, they're going through it. And then I'm like,
is nailing Harris.
Don't sleep on Galena North Shore. That's the defending state champs, baby.
No, wake me
Show
up in
them some
December.
respect.
Chuck, I'm not sleeping, Chuck. All I'm saying is that the boys are back in town. The duffel bag is back. And look, here's the thing about it. Katy, Galena North Shore, everybody knows if you're going to stop Duncanville, who you got to stop? Jaquindon Jackson.
Yeah,
and it's
what was his stat line last night?
J-Jax.
The 2 series that he played.
Yeah, he still had over 100 yards and 4 touchdowns.
No,
he played 2 series. He managed 4 scores.
He didn't do anything.
That's just the kind of guy that he
Didn't
is.
do anything. We got to see a lot of future Panthers succeed last night is what we got to see.
Either way, 49-0, the duffel bag is back. Guys, I can't
48.
wait. What at 48, 49, 47, beaten.
And credit to WT White for taking care of the football. Let's not let that go unnoticed. All right. I mean, come on.
They'll look
sorry,
to
Show some love.
We're sorry.
Way to go, Longhorns.
WT
Atta
White
boys.
gets J.J. Pierce next week. They'll look to bounce back.
It's a lot easier to bounce back against J.J. Pierce than it is against Duncanville, unfortunately.
Right.
I've
how it
noted
goes,
the
though.
district that they
That's a
play
great
in.
point.
Yeah, that's tough. But Duncanville does come out with the win, 48
Unbelievable.
to
Guys,
nothing.
did anybody see the Denton Ryan game?
So I didn't get to see the Den Ryan game, but I did go in and realize that, wow, they also did not play their starters.
They played their JV last night.
They pretty much did. Yeah.
They
How
played
about
their
they win?
42-0.
And they called the game, I
At
believe, at
halftime.
halftime.
They called it.
And they scored every single offensive series.
Did the team have more than 3 yards passing? -9 total?
I don't know, actually. I haven't looked at that.
They played their JV last night.
It was a good night for both
do some
Berkeley and
recon.
Ryan.
I was about to say, those 2 collision course teams, it seems like in that district, both had good nights. Frisco Reedy here at the Ford Center, 38-3 winners over Lebanon Trail. Probably the most complete win we've seen from Reedy last night. I got a chance to catch the first 2 quarters of that one. And then Skyline, big win. Byron Nelson falls to Keller. Does that surprise you a little bit, or is it still kind of Keller rebounding after that loss last week?
It's been a really bad year for Byron Nelson.
But there's a lot of expectations there.
Yeah, and they really have not performed. Maybe more of a rebuilding season than we anticipated for them, but certainly disappointing there in Trophy Club. Down year.
You see how those 7 games, by the way, the 7 games that are up on that scoreboard, the losing teams combined for a total of 10 points in all of those. So we had a lot of blowouts last night, unfortunately. Hopefully that's not the case tonight.
I wanted to give Carrollton R.L. Turner some credit, but they didn't do quite as well as W.T. White did last night.
Really? What did they have?
Well, they didn't take care of the football. They did have the 1 turnover. They also only managed 1 first down. And instead of -9 total yards, they actually had -28. So,
well, in fairness, they didn't get a full game.
Sure,
W.T. White did.
Yeah, and if anything, I think it's for their
their benefit.
It's probably to their benefit.
Thank the
that could have
Lord.
gotten a lot worse.
Thank the Lord.
You guys curious about their rushing yards?
Yes.
No.
Or lack thereof?
Yes. Tell me, please.
-35.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
Not positive.
And then
35.
Ryan doesn't mess around.
No,
Yeah,
they don't.
-2.7 yards per carry. So not what you're looking for.
They'll be okay.
Sorry, Carrollton.
Bounce back next week.
Just a down year for you.
Yeah.
We say bounce back next week.
We're going to bounce back after a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about tonight's Friday matchups. Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine. We'll talk to Doug Branch.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up on the other side of the break in the Battle of the Red Rail. When we
Red
return
Rail.
here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
It's my favorite.
I'm Billy Martin. I'm an Executive Vice President with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
Hey, I'm Jack. We started SeatGeek because we want fans to have a better, more transparent ticket buying experience. With SeatGeek, you can see the best deals and buy tickets, all with a price match guarantee. The only thing we can't guarantee is that your team will win. So use the code TICKETS20 at checkout for $20 off your first order.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score, because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never, ever frozen chicken fingers, craveable cane sauce, crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
The beautiful Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Welcome back in to Whataburger Friday Night Stars. It's week 9 of the Texas high school football season. Are you getting excited? You're going
That's
the wrong
Walchuk's
way.
favorite number.
It's over there. The camera's over that way.
Walchuk loves the number 9.
I just don't even know.
You're looking over here.
I'm over here. I'm over there.
Walchuk, tell
I don't even know.
the people why 9's your favorite number.
Tony Romo.
Antonio Romero.
I've got a Tony Romo fat
Most
head in that other
underrated
room
and
now.
underappreciated quarterback in NFL history.
Yep. Right behind Dak.
Don't you dare even second guess me, Kyle. Do you want to go fight?
How many rings does he have, though?
Oh, is that what we're going to do right now?
We're going to do that.
I'm just asking.
Okay, how many
ring
rings do
average?
you have, Kyle?
I don't have any.
All of none.
I work for Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
How does it make you feel
I
like
guess
Tony
you
Romo's
didn't get
better
the
than
rings
you?
that the three of us got last year.
That's true. Shouts out
I
to
didn't
it.
get anything.
Heckles
also
ended
got
up
the
not
turnover
fitting because
chain,
Haynes King blew that thing up, but
That's true.
it looks good on his mantle.
His measurement was very swollen.
I'm not going to
It
touch
looks
that.
good
Let's
on
go.
his mantle.
Oh, let's go through some of these
man.
Friday night previews.
Starting early. I'm not doing this with you tonight.
Plenty of games to talk to throughout the area. Let's start with Bishop Dunn and Bishop Lynch.
No.
Starting
Is
in
it
the
Bishop?
Bishop's level,
Is
it's
it
No,
Bishop
I'm just
Dunn.
trying to speed past that. Is
Don't
it
you stop.
Dune?
It's not
or
Dune.
Dunn?
It's Bishop Dunn.
It's not Dune anymore.
Well, and there
was a
Get
time.
it Dune tonight against the
oh, I like it.
Bishop Lynch side. Both teams coming off of a loss last week, and Bishop Dunn 4-4 on the season so far. This is kind of a battle of some of the underachieving teams in 2019 at the TAPS level.
Yeah, two teams with down years. This is a rematch of last year's TAPS Division I state championship, where Dunn had the victory 13-9 there, defensive slugfest. I would imagine the same thing tonight, as Dunn does still pack quite the defense. Now, you mentioned both teams lost last week, but one loss stands out more than the other, and that's
No doubt.
Bishop Dunn going down to Jordan Paul and not one, not two, not three, 11 overtimes. We were texting about this last Friday night at like 2 in the morning when that
Super
game,
late.
like it was middle of the night. Like, holy smokes, I cannot believe they continued playing this game. I can't imagine being at that game. It's reminiscent college. If you remember last year, was it the LSU and was it LSU and A&M?
A&M down in
and
College
it just went to
Station.
like
Yes.
a million over, and it was just the most exciting thing you've ever watched. That must have been a similar feeling last week for those in attendance at that football game. Holy smokes. But how does that affect Dunn tonight, right? I mean, you just played.
You basically played 2 games.
You just played and then you lost the game. All of the emotionally, and then you lose the football game. How do you respond in a bit? And this is a big matchup because both teams need this win. No
Rivalry
question.
game, though. I think that'll help,
And no,
certainly.
it'll bring the juice, no question. Like I said, the rematch of last year's state championship game. So there's certainly a lot to play for tonight for both teams. But neither one of them have done what you would expect of both of these programs. I think they've each suffered from the transfer situation. It's like college. We got a transfer portal going on in here, and they've lost a lot of talent just to random teams throughout the area, and now they're down to just a handful of guys. I do think the best player on the field offensively, though, will be Simeon Evans, and I think he's going to be the reason why, when you look at the fact that he's their leading rusher, obviously their quarterback he's throwing the ball decently well, and it's all about that defense. And again, I think tonight the weather, how much does that play into a factor here? And you think Dunn is probably more likely to force some turnovers if you think about each defense, though Lynch packs a decent one as well.
Yeah, you bring up an important point about both of these teams looking underwhelming. We were here last year with Lynch saying how underwhelming they looked, but they won a
true. They went on a nice
championship. And so Simeon Evans, I got an opportunity to see him versus DeSoto, a beast. And the kid is that run pass offense, he has it mastered. And so I think he's going to do the same thing tonight. So is this a pick 'em?
No.
Go ahead. You can let it out.
All right,
We
don't
can.
let it rip, baby.
Yeah.
Don't let it rip. Don't.
Last week was a bad
Tri-Tip,
week.
baby.
Bishop Dunn.
Guilty as charged.
Hey, I'll tell you what. If Bishop Lynch wants to do something offensively, I think their best bet is to get the ball into sophomore running back Isaiah Schmidtke's hands.
Well, Schmidtke's going to run hard.
Schmidtke always runs hard. He runs fast, and
What do
he
you know
is
about
only
Isaiah?
a sophomore.
What do you know about Isaiah? Schmidtke and I go way back. I'm good friends with the Schmidtke family.
340 yards on the ground on only 37 attempts. This
Wow.
dude is 9 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns. Get him the ball more. The youngster is the best offensive player on that team. And a night when weather is going to play a factor, feed that beast. Schmidtke should be the MVP for Lynch if they're going to go win that football tonight. Go Schmidtke. I hope Schmidtke is my star of the night. Let me just put it out there. I'm going to just say it now. We're hours away. I am putting my early vote in hopes that Schmidtke has the game of his life.
I
Just
love
so you could
Schmidtke.
say that name, right?
100 times.
Okay.
I think think Schmidtke gets outdueled by Evans, but I do think Schmidtke could still be your star of the night, even in a loss. That's how good Schmidtke could be.
That's a great point by you, Walchuk. And no one knows the Schmidtskis better than Walchuk. All right? They go way back.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Schmidtkes.
Couldn't have said it better, brother.
Okay, let's go on to the Battle of the Red Rail. Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine tonight. 7 o'clock kickoff from Grapevine's Mustang Panthers Stadium, and what is one of the top rivalry games in the entire DFW area. Eric, you said red. Is it your favorite color?
Red
is
is
favorite
perhaps.
rail?
It is. Well, it's the rails that are red are my favorite rails.
Okay, just
that's
wanted
how
to
it
make
goes.
sure.
So,
Okay,
just
But
for clarification.
I think it might be my favorite as well.
I
because-
like blue.
Yeah, he loves a good blue rail.
That's fair, but this is going to be a fun matchup overall because both teams can put up points. Each team last week put up over 70 points, especially if you look at Colleyville Heritage. They put up 84 last week in a win. Grapevine on the other side put up points last week as well. What do you expect out of this football game overall, and what could be kind of a playoff scenario for both sides in District 4-5A?
Yeah, this is having this experience with Chris Beam of being able to call Colleyville Heritage's games. Let me tell you guys, where I'm from, we played the Super Bowls, the South Dallas Super Bowl, North Dallas Super Bowl, Oak Cliff Super Bowl, all of those. But the Battle of the Red Rail is for real. Mm-hmm. And you talk about, just a rivalry.
Does it get chippy?
Oh, it gets very chippy, guys. I mean, I've been a part of some that I thought they were going to call law enforcement.
I mean, think about it. Bad weather football
Mustang
game in
Panther
the elements.
Stadium.
Mustang
They
Panther
share the
Stadium.
Yeah.
This is, it's going to get chippy tonight. That is going to be a good environment to be in.
And I'm telling you guys, when it comes down to the, just the student sections, everything about this game is Friday night high school football.
It's so high.
And it's magnified in terms of playoff positioning because right now both these teams are 3rd and 4th in the district, right behind Ryan and Birdville. So not only do you have your community pride, your school pride,
We got stakes, baby.
Now it's all about playoff, baby, playoffs.
Yeah, and this is
playoffs.
This is a game, if you've ever had an opportunity to be a part of it. It's a lot of weird stuff that happens during the course of this game.
And the show.
Yeah.
And the show. I think a couple years that I was doing the game, they had streakers. And I was like, wow. Yeah. I mean, it got pretty crazy.
Did they wear like the nude suit, or did they actually streak?
It wasn't streak, but
It was just running around
like we're on
the
like
field.
the
And so the kids,
the body suits.
So basically, the kids end up going to detention. They know where they're going.
Sure,
so
yeah.
they,
Plenty
they're
worth
legends.
it. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they're legends forever.
You're a legend.
Now, did they at least go with the shirt off
Not that
for the fellas?
we don't recommend the streaking. We are not
condoning this on
advocating.
this
But we're
show.
not condoning it either.
We are
right?
not
It's a part of what they do in
We're
this
remaining
game.
sort of neutral.
We're saying no.
Just encouraging
Kyle,
what the
it's gonna
individual
happen.
wants to do
I'd
himself.
like to be
I don't wanna-
Switzerland,
I don't
but
wanna
I'm
get
condoning.
blamed for this. Is the
You're not
problem.
going to get blamed for this. It's going to happen anyway.
It's going to happen anyway, Kyle. Just sit back, relax, and
That's a
enjoy
part
the
of the
show,
game.
my
Get your
streak
friend.
on, boys
It's
and
October
girls.
football. Mustard Pam. I mean, Jesus, this is a
What
big
kind of
game
night-
tonight.
Why would you do it tonight, though?
Why would
They're going to do it tonight.
It's the
October,
biggest game
it's-
of the year.
It's still cold and rainy.
Yeah, they're keeping
It's
their clothes
perfect.
on, Kyle. I mean,
It's perfect
goodness
weather.
gracious.
But
Get
hey,
your head out of the gutter.
Battle of the Red Rail is called that because they have a train that goes from Grapevine through College. So there's
awesome.
there's some significance here, guys. I'm
Kidding
just
me?
saying.
It's
just
going
not-
to be loud.
This
in
is
that
going to be an
stadium
epic
tonight.
game.
Plenty of significance, and with the weather and the epic side of the rivalry as well. We're all a little bit jealous of Doug Branch for getting to call this game. We talked to Doug Anderson last week about a big game in that area. Now we get to talk to Doug Branch,
Dougie
the voice
Fresh.
of the College.
We got Doug Branch on the phone?
Oh, he's on the phone. What's up,
Shut
Doug?
up.
How's it going, man?
Well, all I can say, Kyle, is I would blame you. I don't know what you're talking about, but I would definitely blame
That's
you. for
fair.
it.
That's probably a pretty smart.
That's why we bring you on, Doug. I mean, that's
not
good stuff.
Wolchuk or Heckma or Eric. It's all about
Well,
me.
we were
is what
talking
it
about
is.
the potential streakers, Doug. Over under 2 streakers tonight.
We got a history of that here. There have been numerous speakers that have showed up for this affair between the Grapevine Mustangs and the Colleyville Heritage Panthers.
tradition.
And Heck was actually been here and been able to call that in person. So he knows that it does happen. We never anticipate that it's going to happen. We just enjoy when it does.
We're just trying not
a
to
point.
condone it. Is exactly our point. We're trying to say no to the streaking.
Well,
overall?
and if they do it tonight, let's just be honest. It's a little bit moist out. It's very cool, and the wind is blowing. So if you're going to streak, you better do it real quick.
Yeah,
or you
It's not
might
going to be
get
overly
frostbite.
flattering.
Wake up sick tomorrow morning.
Gavin Dunaway is the reporter on scene. I'm hoping to get some very, very good footage from him tonight for the post-game show.
I actually saw him out front doing his open for you, struggling with the wind and the rain in front of the stadium. It's not
Doug.
too bad right now, guys.
Still
but
adversity.
Yeah, well, you have to deal with it, which is why I don't have to, because I'm up here in the booth at beautiful Mustang Panther Stadium. The wind blowing out of the north, you guys know that. It's going to be a really good football game tonight between two District 4 5A Division I teams in Colleyville and Grapevine. Both teams come into this affair with 3-1 district records, and whoever wins this game tonight certainly has a leg up on second place with Birdville, because we all know the big monster up north, Denton Ryan, the Raiders, and what they've done in this district. So I think everybody's kind of playing for second, third, and fourth place.
Doug, you mentioned you're up in the press box right now. How are they feeding you tonight, brother?
It's going to be pizza. It's normally pizza. So I believe I don't know if it's Papa John's or Mr. Jim's or whatever, but
pulling for Jim's.
We'll get some warm pizza.
What do you think about this game on the field, though, Doug? I mean, as just kind of a rivalry with also the weather involved, what kind of craziness could kind of unfold in this one?
Well, the weird thing about this football game is it doesn't matter what talent is on either side of the football. These kids have grown up playing against each other. They've known each other for years. So this is regardless of the district standings, this is just a Grapevine Colleyville ISD pride game. And you've got two good teams that come in, obviously, with the records that they have. I think Grapevine maybe a little bit younger in some of their skill positions. Colleyville equally as young, but really skilled at the quarterback and some running back positions, and, of course, wide receiver-wise. It lends to be a very good football game, and, it's a no-quit game. These teams play until the final whistle.
Yeah, hey, Doug, this is Heckma Harrison.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, A.J. Smith is the quarterback for Colleyville. I know that Coach really likes to air it out. On a night like tonight, what's going to be the formula for the Panthers because of the weather, basically?
I wouldn't be surprised. They've got a young man, junior, named Braxton Ash, who's their running back, who's kind of their big stud. And I'll tell you what, they may start just handing the football off and see if Grapevine can put 8 in the box and try to stop him. And, of course, you guys know if they do that, A.J. Smith has the ability to go to the wideouts. And they've got a number of quality wideouts that they get the football to. Isaac Chabet, a sophomore. You've got Hogan Watson, who's a junior. You've got a number of good players that, there's options out there, and running the football may be the thing that Joe Willis does. And Heckma, he loves to throw the football, but on a night like tonight, if you can establish the run, you have a really good chance to get the W.
It's going to be a fun game overall. Cold, rainy, and rivalry all just kind of mix a little bit more, especially whenever it gets into the latter parts of the season. Doug, have a great call tonight. We'll be listening for sure during our break, and we might have to talk to you again soon and get your craziness factor in the meter of how wild that one gets at the end of the night.
You got it, and I'll also be able to take pictures if we have any kind of tomfoolery.
Hey, picture it didn't happen, Doug.
All right, boys, take care.
Later.
Doug Branch joining us here on Friday Night Stars. Always love talking to Dougie Branch, and he's always got just great knowledge around that program, and he's going to have a fun one tonight. We've got another fun one up in the northern part of the DFW area as well, going to the 4A ranks. Melissa and Argyle, two teams that know how to put up some yardage, and there's a lot of pressure on that Argyle squad tonight, whereas for Melissa, it's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder factor. We got to hear from some of the guys this week.
We just know to come out and have fun with it, and that's what the players past have done, and that's what this tradition is set on. So, we just come out and have fun.
Well, I think pressure is good, and we've established a very strong tradition of winning a lot of football games, and we want to hold that close to our heart. That is a goal that we start with every year, and we try to win them all. And I know that's a far-fetched goal, but it's fun.
This game is a really big game. Potentially could be a district championship if we either team wins out. So it's a really big game.
just mental focus throughout this week, making sure all of us are right. We know our fits. We know everything that we're going to be doing through the week. When it comes Friday, we're all going to be able to do our jobs and get this win for everyone.
Everybody's having fun. There's no negativity. It's all positivity. And I think that builds other people's confidence, and everybody plays really confident out there.
I go into every game thinking that we're the best team, and if we play our best, if we play the way we know we can play, we should beat them.
It's going to be a fun one overall up in Argyle. Melissa, the number 10 ranked team in Class 4A, trying to get the job done against the 7-0 Argyle squad. Both teams it's the battle of the birds, and there's a lot of really just a lot at stake in that district tonight.
Yeah, it's number 1 versus number 2, and you heard it there. It basically is the district championship game here. I think the winner, no doubt about it, will go on to win it. And you have an outstanding quarterback duel with Bo Hogaboom, who's one of our favorites. And we haven't gotten a lot to talk about Argyle a ton so far. Because they
nice job, Kyle.
They just haven't had a competitive football game. Bo Hogaboom this year already almost 2,000 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's got Tito Bice, who's an outstanding back that has returned, and then, of course, Cole Kirkpatrick out there at wide receiver. They've really got 3 deep at wide receiver with Cade Murka and Alex Gonzalez. Both those guys have also emerged as big players down the field. But for Melissa, they're led by Brandon Lewis. Brandon Lewis, a Colorado commit, dual threat athlete. He's a guy who last week ran for 199 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He looks and sounds like a grown man.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys got that grown man vibe when he just popped on the screen there. That was very grown man.
And he's a guy that, even last year, you're looking at him and you can tell when you go see a football game, like, all right, that kid looks a little bit different. He might be able to play on Sundays. Brandon Lewis certainly is one of those guys. I don't know if it'll be about the quarterback position, but
I like it,
I heard it.
He's an outstanding athlete. No doubt about it. They also got helped in the backfield. They got Xylon Posey, who transferred over from Denton High. A big reason why they've been struggling to run the football. Xylon Posey was great last year. He comes over to Melissa, so he's been able to help out Lewis a little bit. Last year, he was really it for that offense. Now he doesn't have to be Superman all the time. He's got a legitimate running back in the backfield in Xylon Posey, and then Chase Mapps and Tyler Burton help him out wide at wide receiver. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Their only loss this year was to TC Cedar Hill, or they've won those since beating TC Cedar Hill. So, I don't think that Melissa will beat Argyle tonight, but I think it'll be a close, fun football game between the two. Argyle has just built that program where they had that statement win week 2 on the road at La Vega, and they've been on cruise control ever since. So this should be their first real test. I'm excited for that. But Argyle looks like a team that they should absolutely be the favorites right now in 4A to win state. I think this is just set up finally for Argyle to break through and bring home that state championship.
Well, and you mentioned it was the last test potentially for Argyle this season. Well, Melissa, it might be their final test going into playoffs as well. They face a Down Sanger squad and then Paris North Lamar to finish the season. So this going into what could be, like they said, a district championship. There's a chip on the shoulder for Melissa. And then on Argyle, with them being on cruise control, they might be caught off guard a little bit. The fact that it is at Argyle kind of helps out with this. They don't lose at home. Well, we saw on the graphic earlier, they don't really lose at all. The fact that they won 47 straight regular season games. It's going to be a fun night up in Argyle, and I agree with you. I think this is going to be a solid football game, and I wouldn't mind to see Melissa really make this a fun one toward the end.
I hope they do. I hope it's close in the fourth quarter. And Melissa's got to be playing with a lot of confidence. They handled Salina last week, a team who previously, before Argyle emerged, really ran this district. So this is a confident Melissa bunch. This should be great. 2 top 10 matchups, not just in the area, but in the entire state of Texas.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about this Argyle team ever since they lost to La Vega. And coming into this year, I wanted to keep an eye on them because Bo Hogaboom, we talked about this guy, senior quarterback now, and just to see what they were going to do after that loss, how crushing that was with the way that La Vega went about it and kind of hazing them a little bit during that win. Argyle's been playing angry. In my opinion, this is a team that's playing with a chip on their shoulder. I don't think that they're cruising. I think that each game they're going about it. You look at the numbers, they're going about this workmanlike approach where they're putting up good numbers. They're not committing a lot of penalties. They're not turning the ball over. So you see them pretty much grooming themselves for this championship run, because I think last year they got psyched out by La Vega. And so they're not going to – Bo Hogaboom isn't going to let that happen again.
It's just a team that has very, very few weaknesses. You know, Argyle has really set themselves up. And I think a statement – if they go ahead and they roll Melissa tonight, that's even more of a statement-like win throughout the state.
But the kid Lewis, like you said, I don't know about roll him, but because Lewis is going to have something to do with it tonight, and I mean he's a beast on both sides. And back to what we've been talking about, these quarterbacks that we have in North Texas, we have so many great ones, and Lewis is just on that tree of great quarterbacks.
These two tonight, Hogaboom and Lewis, that's worth the ticket price for admission, period. They could charge double from me, I'd still buy.
And each offense averages over 500 yards per game.
Big time.
So 500 yards per game on offense on average on both sides. There should be some points put up. Kind of reminds me of that Melissa Paris game that we had a couple weeks ago where it was like 56 or it was 50 and 40 points put up on both sides. So it might be a high-scoring affair tonight. Let's get to one more game before we take our next break. Denton Guyer at Northwest. Eaton Guyer continues to roll 5-6A, 6-1. They've had a couple bounce-back wins after their loss to South Lake Carroll a couple weeks ago. Well, they're fully back in the at least back in the swing of things ever since being taken down by the Dragons. They look to continue that tonight against the pitter-pattering Northwest Eaton squad, who comes in at 4-3. But is there any chance here for Denton Guyer to kind of make a statement win?
For Guyer to make a statement win?
We'll just kind of take care of business.
Eaton to make, okay.
No, take care of business. I'm sticking with Guyer here.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the Guyer, and here's the beauty of Coach Walsh. I mean, we talked about this last week. This is a team that kind of dropped a couple of games at the end of the year that they felt like they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Eaton, this is a must-win game. And Guyer is fully aware of that. They are really prepared for Eaton to come out and open up the playbook, trick plays, onside kicks, anything Eaton can do to give them an advantage. Because when you look at it, I mean, they've been in every single game they've played. I think their last 3 games have been decided by a touchdown or less. But this is a Guyer team that on paper and athletically is far superior to Eaton this year. So for Eaton, if they want to win this football game, we know they want to run the football with Jabez Hawkins, their running back. He's their go-to guy. But the problem is Denton Guyer, their front seven, has been really, really good against the run. I mean, that's what they want to go ahead and do. They focus on the run before they do anything else on defense. They pride themselves on being a good run-stuffing unit. So they'll be prepared. But if Eaton wants to win, and they're currently tied for that 4th and final playoff spot in the district, it's a must-win kind of game tonight. They're going to go ahead and open up the bag of tricks. I just think Guyer is so well coached under Walsh, they'll be ready for it. And their 3-headed monster with Stowers, Cobbs, and then on the outside, when you look at Seth Metter at wide receiver, they should be able to take care of business and handle Eaton tonight.
Yeah, I think Eaton defensively can hang with them a little bit, especially in the front 7. They have a really good defensive line that'll pose a little bit of a challenge for that Studley offensive line of Guyer. But for 48 minutes, that's a tough thing to ask. For 4 quarters, that is a tough ask of your defense, especially when on the other side of the field, your offense is probably going to be struggling to score points. They don't really throw the ball down the field. They don't really push the ball, and so it's a struggle for them. It's Jabez Hawkins are sort of bust, and if the running game's not going, they're in big trouble. And the thing is, Denton Guyer, well, they can stop the run.
Yeah, and Amari Blunt's got to be able to make some plays through the air, and that's been the question mark for them. That hasn't really been there for Guyer. Their last 2 games, they've only allowed 10 points defensively and under 200 yards total of offense allowed. So their defense is really peaking right now after that loss to South Lake Carroll.
Yeah, you hit it. You hit the nail on the head with that. Northwest Eaton is going to have to go into their bag of tricks, and onside kick, flea flicker, whatever they got to pull them all out tonight. The one thing I love about this matchup is the fact that you know that Guyer's offensive line they're brutal. They're going to put a hat on the hat for 4 quarters. They're going to put it on you, and that's the thing that Eaton is going to have to do. They're going to have to match that physicality. It's not going to be a game that they're going to come into it and say, all right, we can go blow for blow with these guys, because they're not. They're going to have to pull out something that we hadn't seen before. Do they have it? We don't know. But I tell you who Guyer has, and that is King Cobb. And he is all over this game tonight, especially with the weather being the way that it is. This is a Cobb buffet. All right, we're going to get this thing going tonight, guys. I mean, what do you do? Cobb left, Cobb right, Cobb up the middle.
Corn on the cob.
However you got to put it together, all I'm saying
Shishka
is
Cobb.
What?
Like a shish kebab.
I
Like
got
a shish
that.
kebab.
I like it.
I thought it was
I
clever.
appreciate it.
I
thought it was
Thank
pretty
you.
good.
Thank you, fellas.
For the side of Stowers.
3-1. I mean, you lose that one.
I'm sorry. I was in the middle of something. I said, "What? E? What'd you just
You
say?"
like the shish kebab?
Yeah, I don't see how you just did that.
It can be tough. Yeah, we actually need to be careful.
Very
with that
careful
word.
here. Could get in trouble.
So Geyer this is one of these games that that Stowers and company they're gonna put it to them, and Eaton is gonna have to come up with something pretty outstanding at the end of the night, guys.
I feel like this is with the weather involved, and of course with Cobb being such a big factor. If they're able to shut him down, Eaton defensively, like you said with that front seven, Eric, I thought that was a magnificent point. That if that's the case, then Denton Geyer might be a little bit. This might be a closer game for them than even we could expect going forward. So we'll keep a close eye on that one from Northwest ISD Stadium. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to preview the Battle of the Mound. Battle for the Mound in Flower Mound between Marcus and the Jags of Flower Mound High. We'll dive a little deeper into that 6-6A matchup when we return here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Billy Martin. I'm an executive vice president with North Dallas Bank and Trust. It's about authentic intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. At local banks like North Dallas, we give you personalized service that you just can't get at the big banks. Everything we do is driven by your best interest. We call it having a high YQ or U quotient.
It's in all of us, and we won't hold it back. Not one little bit. Nope, we embrace it, letting it fuel our passions, pushing us deeper than we thought possible and keeping us curious. It's what sets us apart from the herd. It's how we come up with the ideas that make people say, why didn't I think of that? See, when you nurture the creativity and passion that's in all of us, you'll learn nothing is out of reach.
Ashley Home Store, the #1 furniture and mattress store in America. We have all the major mattress brands at a guaranteed low price. Plus, we have furniture for every room in the house and decorator accessories to make it yours. With multiple locations, personalized service from knowledgeable associates, and convenient finance plans to fit your budget. Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys. This is home.
Days are built on mornings, and Whataburger is built on burgers. Mornings, burgers. Morning burgers? Yeah, all right. Good thing there's a burger made just for breakfast, topped with breakfast. Good thing there's the new limited time breakfast burger at Whataburger.
Back here from the Star in Frisco, home to the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. A bye week this week for Dallas as they continue to be atop the NFC East.
Oh, you can say that again.
Love it.
How about the first place Dallas Cowboys?
Where's our guy? Where's our guy that's in the office?
Jeremy.
Where is Jeremy?
Intern Jeremy.
Where is the
He's working on a school project.
Of all the
he didn't show up tonight.
I bet he was working on a school project last Sunday night.
Just to peel back the curtain, we've got an intern Jeremy here who works behind the scenes doing stuff for us, and he does a good job. But he He's a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Yeah, he's a filthy, filthy man.
So we don't like him.
I like that. I've never heard of that.
He's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and he was talking mad smack last week.
I can't believe it.
And it's
First
fitting.
day here, he brought in a Philadelphia mug, and we almost made him.
We made him put it outside.
We did do that. We almost made him leave.
I was about to shove that mug where the sun don't shine, but I'll tell you what.
Thought you did.
Filthy gets blown out, and where is this young man?
He's at home.
I can't believe that. I mean,
I
he
hope he's
will
at
not
least
show
watching.
his face.
Come on, Jeremy.
No, how could he? I mean,
Jeremy,
it's embarrassing, guys.
you should wear a scarlet letter for that.
I mean, don't you just feel bad for him a little bit?
No.
Not
You
even
don't
a
even
little
feel
bit.
bad for the guy?
Well, the thing
No.
is, he
You weren't
initiated
here.
that
You didn't hear what he
conversation.
was saying last week.
Oh, was that bad?
He was saying
It's
some
horrible.
bad things.
Gotcha.
He initiated it, and it did not go over well.
Sorry, not sorry, Jeremy.
Realize where you are.
Yeah.
That's just all I need to say.
It's all about the
Let's
star.
move forward.
I can't believe Jeremy.
Zach Wolchuk, Hackman Harrison, Eric Chiafalo.
We're not even going to play his package tonight now, are
No,
we?
we're about to, actually, here in just a second.
He does good work.
Hey, put the
Flower
work
Mound,
in, eh?
Marcus, and Flower Mound. Talk about two teams that really don't like each other. Well, this is absolutely that type of game. And I honestly, and I said this earlier, I think the rivalry mixed together so much better. I think this game specifically should always be played in cold rain, muddy, gritty, just fun game, and two teams that could definitely use a district win. Marcus a little bit better off right now after Flower Mound took a loss last week, but this is going to be a really fun football game between these two rivals.
Yeah, I want to know which Flower Mound team is going to show up tonight.
That's a good point.
Because they lost their stud running back, Tyson Edwards, and he has been the great equalizer, I guess, for Nussmeier. We talked about his learning progression, where he came from last year, and this kid came into the season looking good. I even said, hey, we're going to put safe deposit box his certification because he's certified.
He was looking good.
Yeah, he looking good.
But he was also the team's second leading receiver. So that's a lot of production now missing from that Flower Mound Marcus offense. And they turned to Tyler Gainey last week.
And let me tell you something, he stepped up.
He stepped up in the game's final moments, that overtime series. They gave him the ball every single play. They end up punching it in. And it seemed like that was a young man who grew as the game did. Like, he really found himself, got that confidence going. He kind of struggled early, but late, Tyler Gainey really kind of came into his own. And tonight's a big one. I mean, going up against your crosstown rival, Battle of the Mound, this is a mega game for both these schools in terms of, it's a top 20 area matchup, but also district positioning. Right now, Marcus undefeated in district. Flower Mound coming off a big district loss to Hebron. They're now 3-1, and that was probably the worst that Flower Mound has looked all year long last week. And you talk about defensively for Marcus, they seem to be playing much better. I think when you look at top to bottom, who's the more well-rounded team? It's probably Marcus, but who's got the better skill players? I think the quarterback position, it might be a neck-and-neck race with Short and Nussmeier.
Wow.
But this is a game where Pierce Hudgens, who hasn't had quite the game that the year that he had last year, he's one of our favorites. He needs to step up tonight for Flower Mound. This needs to be the Pierce Hudgens night where he goes ahead and says, all right, boys, I'm going to grind this out. Weather's ugly. I'm going to put the team on my back. Let's go ahead and get this done and get a victory. Because who needs it more? I think Flower Mound needs it a little bit more than Marcus. But Marcus is a red-hot team right now.
Yeah, and I like Coach Atkinson and the style that he brings and his aggressive nature. We've seen him go on onside kicks. What was that against Hebron a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
They won that game for just a couple of calls here or there, an early onside kick, go for it on 4th and short here. And those are the kinds of things that I think instill confidence in your football team. And he obviously believes in them as well, that they can get the job done. And that's the type of attitude that when you carry that into a game like this, and there's those one or two plays that Atkinson pulls out of his sleeve, I think that's going to be something that's going to play a huge factor tonight, and sort of why I lean Marcus, even though, man, Flower Mound, I mean, we love the Jaguars. They were a sort of a Cinderella team last year that we fell in love with.
The Friday Night Star sweethearts.
Yeah, no question about it. And like you said, Wolchuk, I mean, Hudgens needs to show that he's the best running back on the field tonight.
And he's going to have to do so if they're going to come out with a win. Each side absolutely needing a win, at least just for bragging rights, more so than playoff implications.
But Chuck brings up an important point about Nussmeier and Short. I mean, the 1A, 1B sort of situation this year.
Yeah, and last year it was definitely Blake Short, but Nussmeier has really come into his own. This is just a Marcus team. You can just tell, they're really starting to find themselves, their identity, and who they are. And defensively, I think is really what's setting me apart for Marcus. I had a stat. I think they've only allowed as a defense coming into this one. 28 points in their last 4 games, so 7 points basically a game.
And I don't know all the teams they played, but Hebron was one of them. And Hebron's got some studs on that offense.
And Hebron's the outlier because they had 14 points. The other ones were nothing.
Well, it was Irving, Nimitz, Hebron, and Coppell. So 2 of the 4 solidified teams. Coppell having a rough year, though, but at the same time, I think, like you said, Hebron, that's a good point. I mean, able to hold that Hebron offense to 14 points, 2 scores.
And Hebron just spanked Flower Mound.
They did.
So it's going to be fun tonight.
It's a dog-eat-dog
about
district.
it. I want to see this stinking package. Where are we at here? I want to get some trash talk.
How about that? That's good. Jeremy did get a chance to catch up with some of the guys on that Flower Mound Marcus side heading into the battle for the mound.
I think we try and keep our emotions lower. When we make big plays, it can't be the end, it can't be the high because we got to make another one the next play. So I think we do a great job of that. After we come up with a big play or get a big 4th down conversion, it's now 1st down, so you got to move the chains again. So
kids know that we're never out of it. They always have an opportunity to get in the game, and if we get behind, or if we're in front, don't be surprised if we onside kick, if we go for it on 4th down. And our kids are used to that.
I think it's just, as we go on throughout the season, we've started to trust in him more and just trust in his ability to get us the ball. And it's kind of, we've just learned that no matter what the play is, we just got to be selfless. Obviously, they're a good team, and so they're very disciplined, but we've been working on attacking the middle of the field deep, just running a post or running seams up the middle to expose their secondary. So I think we have a good game plan. I think we can execute it and expose them.
They know they might have to run the ball a little more than they used to. So we're just going to be ready to go be physical and do our job.
It's going to be a little off, so we just know that we got to be prepared mentally to go out and play in these conditions. We got a good team to play, and we're just confident in our abilities. We just need to go out there and execute.
So it's going to be a fun one in the battle for the mound overall, and what is going to be a back-and-forth football game. And is this a pick'em game later?
This is a pick, and I think so. I'll be honest, we got a lot of good games tonight, but this is my favorite game of the night.
It might be mine too.
This is going to be a barn burner. I hope it's high scoring. That Marcus defense, I need them to kind of just hold off a little bit, just cool down.
Let the points kind of roll in.
Let the points roll. I want at least 24 points from each side.
I'm looking at
going to let that happen.
50 to 45. How about that?
Oh, I like it.
A couple of defensive scores as well.
Let's just game.
Yeah, maybe some special team scores. Let's go for it.
That's a lot of points for that defense to give up.
I believe in them.
Okay, there you go.
I believe in that defense to give up that many points.
I believe in the front offense.
Oh, wow. Let's take a quick trip around District 5-5A Division 1. Lots of Frisco teams in action tonight, starting with Centennial and then the number 1 Lone Star Rangers, one of the best teams in the entire state of Texas. And Lone Star continues to roll 7-0. Centennial in a big comeback win last week against Frisco Heritage and the Coyotes. They were down 28-13 at halftime, but tonight they've got an opportunity to take care of business across the way at Toyota Stadium. Lone Star, though, is there any chance here for the Titans?
Lone Star's just too good.
They're so good.
We saw Centennial last week, and they had a nice bounce back second half. And they came back and won that football game. But Lone Star's defense is just too darn good with Rangel and Bogdan and Nixon and Marvin Mims. I mean, you name it. I just don't think
on defense. We can't forget about him.
Yeah, I don't think Centennial can go ahead and stop him. I'm more excited about that Colony Wakeland game in terms of this district.
We're going to talk about that. Don't skip
over it.
I don't think we are.
Well, we'll talk about it at some point. But this is a Lone Star squad that has put up impressive numbers. I mean, you look at it, 559 yards on average per game, and then they don't give up a whole lot either. And I'm actually a little surprised to see it at above 240 in terms of the yardage given up on average.
A lot of garbage time yards they give up, I would imagine.
I think it's a little bit of that.
Yeah,
like
a lot of that
said,
had to do with Miles Price last week.
That's true. I mean, that's a good point.
The Colony put up more points than anybody has. They had a nice opportunity against Lone Star. But again, when you look at the turnovers that Lone Star had last week, and they were still able to come back and beat the Colony, who I'm a big fan of. They just can't play any defense, which is really, really upsetting with the Cougars. But for Lone Star, it just doesn't matter. I mean, they can win any way you want. You want a high-flying offense, let's shoot out, we got it. You want a slow burn, we're going to run the football on you, that's fine. By the way, our defense is probably the best in the state of Texas. So.
Well, I say this. When you look at last week's game, does it show that there is some susceptibility of that defense when you start talking about some of the more upper echelon teams that can throw the ball and has a defense, right?
It definitely does show that against the special athletes like Price and Keith Miller, and when you play a capable quarterback like Mikey Harrington, you can move the football on Lone Star. But, I mean, how many teams are going to be able to do that against them? You look at the teams that we've signaled out. Highland Park in a possible rematch game, and then Denton Ryan. Outside of that, I just don't see a ton of threats in the 5A ranks for Lone Star right now. I think the Colony is probably one of the more high-powered offenses that they'll have to play. You know, Timberview, Lancaster, one of the teams coming out of there. I don't see it.
And the thing is, in order to beat Lone Star, you not only have to have a special defense to slow down Lone Star, but you've got to be able to put up points as well on the offensive side to kind of counteract that. And like you said, there's only a small handful of teams that could even get close to that if it were to be the case. But should be an interesting one just to kind of see where Lone Star is. I mean, they've had kind of the rougher part of their district schedule now in the rearview mirror. They've got a couple more weeks to kind of get healthy and get ready heading into playoff time because they've already beaten Independence. They've already beaten the Colony. The district slate is already behind them almost, and now you've got a couple, I wouldn't say sleepwalk games toward the playoffs, but they're going to have 3 pretty much easy wins.
Couple of tune-up games heading into the postseason. It's got to make you feel good.
And it's not necessarily what you would love as a coach. As a coach, you kind of want to see those games stack up toward the end of the year and peak at the right time. Hopefully for Lone Star, that's not the case. Luckily, they do have a couple big-time games overall. Let's move on. Staying in that same district, Little Elm and Frisco Independence. You mentioned that this is a matchup between two teams, or you mentioned the Wakeland and the Colony matchup in terms of district
some big games,
seeding.
yeah, within this district.
I think this is a big game as well. Independence, rather, of course, with their forfeit loss that they had a couple weeks ago to Heritage, kind of putting them in a tough situation when they got a big win last week against Wakeland. And then if you're Little Elm, you're just trying to hold on for dear life at this point.
Yeah, I mean, a loss eliminates you basically if you're Little Elm. And for Frisco Independence, they've got the better quarterback when you look at Braylon Braxton. Offensively, you look at they've got 2 really good receivers on the outside that we got to see with Wafer and Ziggy McMillan over there. One of their transfers. Talk about the transfers. Those are 2 guys that transferred over. One from Hebron. I'm blanking on where Ziggy transferred from. But their offense, I think, is going to be a little bit too much for Little Elm. I know they got Ryan Watts who can play all over the field if they want to play him at wide receiver at corner. Maybe he can take away Keon Wafer. But Braylon Braxton is just such a dual threat. I see Independence matchup-wise for Little Elm's defense just causing way too many problems.
I thought this was my game, but that's okay because I think.
Is it? I thought
so, but that's okay. That's okay.
You take it away. I'm going to leave.
Okay, go ahead. And so the Wafer Watts matchup is going to be awesome. That is definitely the one you bring that up, Chuck.
It's the one you circle.
Yeah, that's the one because both of these guys are studs. Okay, Little Elm does have a really good defense. They've lost some games where they've been competitive in, so no blowout losses. And so I'm really excited to see this matchup. You know what Braylon Braxton brings to the table. He's all everything. He's electric. The guy is brilliant on offense, but Wafer, someone else is going to have to make a difference for Independence besides just Braylon Braxton because Little Elm has a defense that's formidable and good enough. On the front line, you have defensive end Tyrese Poe and linebacker Robert Craig for Little Elm. And these guys are studs. I mean, they are going to take it to them. And so when I look at what Lone Star did, they don't have the same kind of cast of characters that Lone Star has. But I'm just talking about the defense in general with the athletes. That may pose a problem for Independence.
Yeah, and you saw with Lone Star, they were able to keep Braxton in the pocket in that game as much as he wanted to get out. And when he did, they had those linebackers that were spying on him that are sideline to sideline with that speed, and Braxton just really couldn't go anywhere. You mentioned the linebacker Craig. I mean, he might have that spy job tonight because Braxton wants to take that ball and dang near, as soon as he gets it, peel out left or right and go make a play downfield or with his legs, and that's what he makes his living on.
And I think that's kind of a great point, kind of talking about the growth of Braylon Braxton as a quarterback for Independence. And we kind of at least wrote them off. Maybe not wrote them off, but just kind of said, hey, they got beat by Lone Star in a pretty emphatic fashion because he was just running around like he did last year. But this is a Braylon Braxton here in 2019 that can throw the football a little bit too.
Sure.
He's not a run-first guy. As much as he wants to get out of the pocket and run, he's going to be able to throw downfield. It's a big reason why Independence overall still averages over 540 yards per offense per game. And so I think Braylon Braxton, if he's able to stay in the pocket, might even help them out a little bit more. But those linebackers are going to play a crucial role for Little Elm, tonight. Moving forward, one more game to hit in that district. Frisco Liberty and Frisco Heritage. This is right across the hallway at the Ford Center here in Frisco. 5A, and two teams that have just not had the best year overall. Heritage falling last week in a crucial win or a crucial loss for them, which basically eliminates them from playoff contention in that district. And they can stay alive in it with a win, but at the same time, they would need a ton of help to try and find their way into the top four. Liberty, on the other hand, fell last week to Little Elm in that last-second field goal, 40-plus yards that took a win out of the talons of the Redhawks in what would have been their first win since 2017. But overall, really kind of a game that you glance over a little bit, but two teams that definitely need a win, at least to kind of help their program moving forward.
Yeah, which defense can step up tonight? Because they both give up a tremendous amount of points and well over 400 yards per game. And now they're not going up against the best offenses in the world in this game. So this is a good get-well game for the defenses in the elements. Which defense can step up, maybe force some turnovers, do something like that? Because neither one of these offenses really wow you. The defenses have struggled as well. And so it's just going to be one of those games who can basically force the other team to make more mistakes.
Easton Sweatman, the quarterback there for Frisco Heritage, he's actually had a pretty darn good year for them. And on the other side with Glatch, they've also got well over 1,000 yards passing. So a high-scoring game, no doubt, but Heritage probably will have the advantage.
Yeah, I think so too. And if there's still an opportunity there for Liberty, though, like you said, Eric. I mean, if there's a game to kind of take advantage, they tried to take advantage of Centennial a couple weeks ago. That didn't work out. Might be able to take Heritage at least close in this one, and Liberty still looking for their first win since 2017. So there's a quick look around 5A Division I games. Let's move forward to TAPS. And we mentioned the Bishop Dunn and Bishop Lynch game earlier in the day. It's definitely done. And then moving forward, Parish Episcopal and Prestonwood Christian Academy. This is going to be quite the football game, guys. And overall, Parish 6-1, 41 points per game. The defense has been outstanding as well. And then you go up against Prestonwood, a team that is really kind of it's been dominant on the other side as well. Maybe not as dominant offensively, but the defense has been just as good for Prestonwood Christian. This is quite possibly a state championship preview. Two of the top teams in the TAPS levels and two squads that definitely don't like each other at the same time.
Big rivalry, and I think and we've reiterated this throughout the season, but Parish's defense, I think, has really been the bright spot for them. We knew that they'd put up points with Heckma's own Evan Green, his cousin there, and Preston Stone at quarterback. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the area, but their defense has really been outstanding. On the other side, for PCA, this is a team they haven't lost to a Texas school all year. Their one loss was to an Atlanta, Georgia private school, so Parish with an opportunity to knock off a PCA team that also seems like they're peaking right at the right moment.
Yeah, which Parish team is going to show up tonight? Because we talked about that with the Fort Worth Hamp Fay. My guys just remember his name. Hamp Fay.
All Saints.
All Saints. And that loss, it's kind of lopsided. You think that maybe Prestonwood came into that game, they fell asleep, they wasn't ready for it, they just kind of underestimated All Saints. They won't do that tonight. And so, I mean, the other thing that plays into this football game is the fact of the weather. You know, Preston Stone likes to throw the ball around. It's going to be sloppy. They don't have to worry about mud because obviously there's turf out there at PCA. But still, this is going to be a sloppy game. I think last week I'd heard rumors about Switzer being replaced at quarterback. There may be a quarterback change. But tonight, I'm just really kind of throwing.
This is a game, that would favor Switzer.
This would favor him,
He's got over 400 yards rushing.
Because of his running ability.
This is his thing, exactly.
So we'll see. I mean, our own Chris Beam isn't here with us because he's going to catch the first half of this game because his nephew's playing in it as well. It's a family affair. I mean, this is a house divided here at the Star.
Yeah, you got your cousin and the nephew of Chris, our our director, I guess, is that his official
I don't
title?
know. Ask him yourself.
Producer.
Chris, what is your name?
Hey guys!
Hey!
What's going on? Hello! Live from Lions Stadium.
All right, let's see.
What's the atmosphere like out there tonight, Beam?
Any streakers
It's
yet?
a little chilly out here, I'm telling you.
That favors your Lions.
Yeah, Switzer. Switzer's a guy that, if you notice, he has more rushing yards than he does passing yards this year. So he likes to do that read option and pull it, and he's done a really good job with that this year. Now, Preston Stone, obviously, he's going to like to throw the ball around, and we'll see. It's a little windy, actually. Winds out of the north a little bit, coming right down the middle of the field. It's a really open stadium here. Not a lot of bleachers here at Lions Stadium, to be honest with you.
So with that being said, are we going to get a beam cam, but not a Chris beam cam, but the nephew beam cam tonight?
Nephew's starting at safety tonight, so we'll see what happens. He'll get his first start over here. He's been playing sparingly, but the Prestonwood Lions have actually switched their defense this week, which I'm sure Parrish is not going to figure that out pretty soon, because they switched their whole defense around, made it more of like a nickel or dime situation. So we'll see how that affects the Parrish when they're looking at the tape this week.
I could stump up Preston Stone. We don't
A little
know.
bit.
Uh-oh,
Because,
mixing it up.
usually it's like they took their starting safety and moved him down to more like a linebacker. He's real thick down low, so we'll see what happens.
Here's my prediction. Preston Stone's seeing ghosts tonight, boys.
Oh, I like to see that.
There's this
Couple
guy.
of picks for your boy. I mean, it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, who knows?
Nah, man.
Because, I listened to you on the way over here talking about the red rail. And the funny thing is kind of tying the red rail into this game. Coach Chris Cunningham was my coach, who's now at Prestonwood. That's kind of the reason why my nephew came over here, to be kind of the lineage of the Beams, to get to play for Coach Cunningham at Prestonwood.
Wow. So it's not only a family affair for the nephews involved, it's a family affair because of the generations involved a little bit there.
So my brother played. So my nephew's actually wearing number 4, which was my brother's number.
Wow.
When he was at Grapevine, actually. So Grapevine, Colleyville. Me and my brother have a little matchup this week with Grapevine, Colleyville. He went to Grapevine, I went to Colleyville. So it should be real fun with the Beans this week.
Wow.
Guys, fun fact. Chris Beam played in the first ever Battle of the Red Rail. What was the score to that game, Chris?
It was not great. Grapevine here, I'll tell you a funny story about that. Grapevine got to pick all their players. As a senior, you could stay or go, right? You could go to Colleyville or stay at Grapevine. I actually went to Colleyville. All the D1 recruits stayed at Grapevine. They were a 4A team at the time, playing with like a 5A personnel, and 2 of the guys actually played in the NFL. Jack Brewer and Tellus Redmond actually played in the NFL. Jack Brewer actually played for the Vikings, and a little bit with the Giants, and then Tellus Redmond was a running back. He actually played at Minnesota and ended up at the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow. So it's a fun night overall.
Yeah, it's nice and chilly out here. I should have brought my gloves. My God, I'll be in the studios in the evening for the late night show because it's a little chilly out here.
I was about to say you're going to have some fun getting back into the Star tonight. So this is fun talking with you, and we'll see you here in a couple of hours. I guess.
See you guys in a couple of hours. I'm sorry, Heck. I had to swing by here. Little in studio rivalry as well. So
I like it.
It's a little bit, and that's how he does it, man. He sneaks out of the studio, goes to the game, he leaves me here. You see the love, right?
I see it.
You see the love. You see the love.
That's awesome.
It looks like it's going to be it's a color rush game. It looks like. We got all green. We got the all whites for Parrish and the all blues for Preston.
That's sharp.
Nice color rush.
Sweet. Might get some video from you there.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You've got free VIP access down there as well, right?
I'm actually on the field. Let me feel the field real quick.
There we go.
Slick, boys.
Well, I expect to see
It's
some
gonna be a
footage.
little
Chris Beam joining us here on Friday Night Stars. Chris, we'll talk to you later, man.
All right, see you guys.
There he goes. How about that for a surprise?
Yeah,
That was very good.
Thank you.
A house divided, guys. A house
really is.
divided.
So nephew Evan Green for you.
Cousin
Evan Green, and then nephew
for Chris.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Peyton.
Wow.
Yes.
Playing each other and
Maybe
guarding
they get
each
to-
other.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, it's
some
unfortunate.
coverage there.
They're going to actually be
It's
like on the
It's
field
unfortunate
at
for
the
the
same
beams. No, it's unfortunate for the beams because look, guys. I mean, Evan Green is the truth in the booth. I mean, it's just what it is. And this is be a bad night to be switched to defense. And with Evan Green on the other side,
starting safety and wide receiver.
It's a bold move. It really is.
Yeah.
Bold move, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
That's going to be interesting. Let's go back to 6A for a little bit. 5-6A, Keller Central and South Lake Carroll. We talked about Flower Mound last year kind of being the sweethearts of Friday Night Stars in 2018. 2019, Keller Central's making a strong case for that title. And 6-1, kind of coming out of nowhere. The defense has really been the story for Keller Central, but tonight they face by far their toughest test of the year in South Lake Carroll.
You think?
Yeah, you look at the record, 6-1 for Central, 7-0 for South Lake. Yeah, these are probably two pretty evenly matched teams. And then you go look at my favorite stat out there, gentlemen. As you know, the point differential.
Tell us.
South Lake plus 255. Keller Central -1.
Wow.
God, that's ugly.
Wow.
Not ideal. You're 6-1, but your -1 point differential. They've won a lot of close games, and you mentioned it, Kyle. Their defense has been spectacular. They give up 3 scores a game. That's it. They forced 2 turnovers in all but 1 game so far this year. So they're very stingy. They're opportunistic, and they're going to need to be that way tonight against a South Lake team that has really gone above and beyond what we even thought they were going to be with the young quarterback, the sophomore Quinn Ewers, who we know is going to be good, but he is good and he is good fast. He's the sophomore who's not a sophomore. He just got the old offer from Alabama, I think, here in the last week or two.
He just picked up a Bama offer.
And that's because, well, in the last 4 games, gentlemen, 18 total touchdowns.
Killing it.
Through the air, on the ground. The dude's a
killing
freak show. He's their leading passer, obviously. He's also, well, he's their leading rusher, too. They have 3 guys, though, at the running back spot. They've dealt with a little bit of injuries, so it's gotten them a chance to groom guys like Owen Allen, Cade Wood, and Jack Abram, and they can all really do plenty of things. Well over 300 yards on the ground for both of them.
I love guys that can do plenty of things.
Yeah.
Versatility is my deal.
Dang right. And they all got a couple of touchdowns, a couple hundred yards on the ground. Very, very good. And they got a stable of receivers as well. The skill position here for South Lake is definitely all that it's cracked up to be. You got Wilsmeyer, John Monero, Brady Boyd, and then, of course, the big tight end Blake Smith. All of those guys.
You don't have to worry about Blake Smith unless they're playing Denton Geyer.
That's true. That's
when Blake
when
Smith really is at his best.
You got to worry about the arm.
He loves playing Geyer.
But he has pulled down 6 touchdowns so far this year.
All of them against Geyer.
He's a good red zone guy, no question. He's definitely the Geyer dominator. But bottom line is South Lake and their defense, man. Their defense is awesome. They got R.J. Mickens back a couple of weeks ago, playing a little special teams, playing a little defense, not bringing him in on the offensive side of the ball. But you know that is an energizer bunny right there for the defense, who late in the season you get your best player back.
God, that's amazing.
And that defense has already been playing good this year without him.
That's
so
amazing, man.
I would imagine this probably ends up being a South Lake domination game. They get them at home. They'll probably want to put it on them early and often. And again, Quinn Ewers, he's really coming into his own over the last 4 games, 18 total touchdowns.
Now you talk about getting South Lake getting their players back. We talk about Jesuit when E.J. Smith coming back at the beginning of the year and the run that they're having and the luck that they're having with the yardage that he's getting. Imagine South Lake on the run that they're on and getting their very best defensive. They've been doing this without their best guy.
And I was just talking last week about how I think that this is a South Lake Carroll team that's better equipped to go up against a team like a Duncanville in the playoffs because their defense is much better than it was a year ago. Now you add R.J. Mickens into the mix, who's one of the best recruits in the entire country, let alone the state of Texas, going to Clemson. Look out. I mean, this is a very dangerous.
Wait a minute, back up a little bit.
Very dangerous South Lake Carroll team.
Chuck, what you saying, Chuck?
Just saying look out to the rest of 6A.
Okay.
He's putting the Duffel Bag Boys on notice.
You saw, I mean,
Duncanville needs to
That's
realize.
a sneak diss. That's what we call a sneak diss.
Well, they only beat South Lake by 100 last year in the playoffs,
okay.
So it's like, listen,
their
there's a
defense
chance.
was also the Duffel Bag Boys last year.
I was about to say, is Duncan
this year? Just because you shut out W.T. White, you ain't getting that respect from me.
-9 total yards.
Oh.
2 first downs. 3 passing yards.
They're still outstanding. But
-12 on the ground.
This young sophomore, man, he's doing some uncanny things.
I wouldn't call him a young sophomore, but he is
this
a sophomore.
old sophomore, man.
Technically.
I don't know who this Quinn Ewers kid is and where he came from or how did he do it, but I'm telling you, he's fantastic.
He's just been shockingly good. Like anytime I I thought Geyer would roll South Lake Carroll. I ate my words, so now I'm not overlooking the Dragons.
But at the first week of the show, we were just talking about all the teams, what we knew about them, and where they would be. The first thing out of our mouth, a young quarterback. You know, it's going to be a down year.
Growing pains a little bit.
No, not so much. much.
No TJ McDaniel.
No, not so much.
No.
They knew they had QE in the back and they was ready to go. And I mean, this Ewers kid is Ewers. How do you say it?
Ewers.
Baller.
He's
boss. Okay, the kid is taking care of business. But the thing that's really scary about the Dragons is getting their best defender back. I mean, we went through the season not knowing that the kid was even hurt, and then we realized he's been missing. He wasn't even a part of the Geyer game, and now getting him back at this point of the season, I think that's dangerous for the Dragons.
It's unreal dangerous, and I think that's a South Lake Carroll team that I agree with you, Zach. I think a lot of teams need to be on notice because they're good enough.
Very good.
They're good enough to get to that point if they were to do so. 9-6A.
It's a heck of a district.
You want to take this one?
A lot of turnover going on in that district. Which game are we talking about?
Oh, you know,
Plano Jesuit?
Yeah, you know which one I'm
You
talking
know
about.
which one we talking about.
You know which one we're talking
You're
about.
Wildcats,
Chuck.
It's the only close
You
one
got
tonight.
you got the maroon undies on today.
Is it time?
It's time.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. This is a big game in 9-6A. These two, there's a three-way tie right now for second place within that district. You got Jesuit, you got Plano, you have Prosper. Jesuit shocked Prosper 2 weeks ago. They got blown out by Allen last week. That snapped their 4-game winning streak. They came back down to earth a little bit. Plano, a team that really was a little shaky early on in the season. All of a sudden, they've won 3 in a row after losing to Allen. And this is a Plano team that looks very different to any other we've seen throughout this decade. Why is that? They can throw the football.
All over town. Man.
Oliver Towns has been outstanding. He's got just under 1,400 yards passing, 19 touchdowns to go with 7 interceptions. But they found balance with Tylen Hines running the football. He had a career-high 261 yards rushing last week in their win over Plano East. They're still able to mix in Cody Christ a little bit, but the emergence of Hines allows Cody Christ, who might be their best defender, to just stay at linebacker, and they're going to need him there tonight because you look on the other end with E.J. Smith and what he's bringing in the addition and boost that he's provided for that offense, along with Jake Taylor, two guys that not only can run the football, but they are valuable weapons out of the backfield for Rance Holman at quarterback. So this is going to be interesting. Plano's offensive line has gotten better, but I think Jesuit in the trenches has a little bit of an advantage. How Plano can win this game, they continue to push the ball down the field with their speedy receivers on the outside, Jaden Chambers, Nolan Williams, mix in some Christian Sabatini. By the way, Eric, you would love Christian Sabatini.
Oh, I already do.
This dude, he's going to Louisiana. He kind of looks like a baby Chiafalo.
He's an Italian brother. I can already tell. Sabatini.
He looks very, very uncannily
That's
like
family.
a Chiafalo. He's got the swag. I'm a big fan of Christian Sabatini's game. They're utilizing him a lot more. And really just the ability with Oliver Towns now to pass the football is allowing him to get involved more. And then when you have the deep threats on the outside, Sabatini's now able to eat underneath. So this is going to be very close.
I'd like to break bread with Sabatini.
We know that Jesuit at home, that's quite a home venue for them. Prosper went in and got smacked on the road at Jesuit. So you might give Jesuit a little bit of an edge in this football game, but this could be a huge statement win for my Plano Wildcats tonight.
Josh Price, our reporter out at this game tonight. Homework assignment, interview, post-game show, Sabatini.
Yes,
let's get it done.
Wins, let's get Sabatini.
Please, get him on the horn.
Yeah, the dangerous thing about this is Rance Holman. What type of game is he going to have? Bouncing back from the loss from Allen last week. The thing about Oliver Towns that I think is very interesting and makes the Wildcats dangerous in this game is what Allen's quarterback was able to do versus Jesuit last week. You know that Oliver Towns can throw the ball, but also he can run a little bit too. And so Chambers at wide receiver should have a big night. This is going to be a really good game.
It's a really good game. Both these teams are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, and
last year Plano rolled Jesuit. I mean, everyone did because we knew their defense wasn't very good. But this is a better offense than it was last year. Plano has 4 games where they've put up over 40 or more points. They had 3 all of last year, and that's with Kyron Cumbie. So they graduate Cumbie. Everyone's wondering, where's this Plano offense, where's the production going to come from? Well, they fill that void and then some. They're a much more balanced attack than they have been in recent years.
I'll tell you what, my Friday night star of the night, Schmidtke, he's got a little competition now.
You're already jumping ship on
I'm just saying competition. I'm not jumping ship. 1A, 1B.
Look at Christian Sabatini in uniform with his helmet off. He's going to fall in love.
Yeah, I can already feel it. I can see it. Schmidtke, you got some competition, brother.
Unbelievable.
Sabatini is coming after you.
I'm trying to
Joshua
look for
Price.
a name of Sabatini. I really am.
We need to get a picture. We need to get a picture of Christian Sabatini.
I hope you're listening, JP.
We'll try and grab it and see if we can go from there. Let's go back to the 5A level. West Mesquite at Mesquite Poteet, two teams that we haven't necessarily talked about a whole lot today, or this year rather, but two squads that need a crucial district win. Poteet, definitely a different team with Seth McGowan. Seth McGowan back,
Oh, yes, they are.
He's been a world beater.
In their last 4 games with him back in the lineup, they averaged 43 points per game. If you want to know how much what he's done production-wise in those 4 games, 736 yards, 4 games, 9 touchdowns.
Now, what was the beginning of the season about him not playing, and now all of a sudden he shows
Who cares?
up?
He is,
What is this?
playing at a Pro Bowl level. Hopefully you have him on your fantasy teams because this guy puts up the numbers. I will say, on the other side, West Mesquite, they're going to lose this football game, but they have a guy, Ty Jordan. He's their number 1 receiver. He's the number 1 running back. This guy, I mean, both of these guys between McGowan and Jordan are worth the price of admission to go watch 2 studs play some football. McGowan, you know, is going to go off big. I mean, he's 188, he's 181, he's 192. The guy just puts up big yards. While on the other side of the field, Ty Jordan, he's got almost 400 yards on the ground, 7 touchdowns, and then 370 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns. He is Mr. Everything for them, and that's really the problem for West Mesquite. They have nobody else that threatens you. If you can contain Jordan, you're not going to shut him down. If you can contain him, that West Mesquite offense, boy, they struggle. And on the flip side, Poteet, they're playing lights out right now with a junior quarterback, Jalen Police, who it seems like he's unseated Stephen Fink, our guy Fink from earlier in the year. Well, it looks like the junior quarterback, former receiver, Jalen Police, dual threat guy, 10 touchdowns to only 1 interception, and Tristan Golightly at the receiver spot. They have McGowan at the running back spot, no question, but Golightly, 500 yards, 9 touchdowns through the air. He's a good player on the outside.
What a name, Golightly.
Golightly. Golightly, Schmidtke, Sabatini. I mean, we're doing big things tonight, boys.
It's going to be a good game overall. But
did you really say Golightly?
Golightly?
That's his last name, Golightly.
Yeah, it's Tristan. The Golightly's.
Golightly?
We broke. Yeah, the Golightly.
How's that spelled?
Fantastic.
Golightly. Literally exactly how you would think. Golightly.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of
not heavily. Golightly.
You got to go lightly.
You're a genius, dog.
Appreciate it, boys.
Y'all heard about
Big
how
game
Malachi's doing lately?
Hey.
Oh, no, I broke in on him. Didn't get a call back because supposedly he doesn't exist. I'm like, oh, he does.
No.
Hey.
It's gotta be a Malachi somewhere.
Wait a minute, guys.
Sir, is it not Malachi? No.
Must have the wrong
Malachi.
number.
You guys promised me we were going to bury that and leave it where
promised
it
no
is.
such
Did you make that promise, Kyle?
I made no such.
I
You
wasn't
guys
here last
said-
week. No promises were made.
You guys said that we were going to bury that, and I was not going to have to suffer the embarrassment for that on air.
I thought it was one of the best moments all year.
Yeah, that's a
Way to
highlight.
go, guys. Thank you so much.
Star of the night, Heckma Harrison.
Thanks, Heckma.
And Malachi.
Let's go to Carter and Wilmer Hutchins. This is a game that Guy Frazier was at, or talking about earlier. And
I hate you guys.
Fraz.
He's going to be out of this football game later. Another crucial district matchup, one of the many that we have across the slate tonight. District 8 4A. And playoff implications, no doubt about it, in this one, especially with Carter at 5-2. Wilmer Hutchins a little underwhelming after last year, but at the same time they've still got their spot, or they've still got a position at least to try and make the playoffs and try and get forward. But that Carter defense has been so
What are
studly.
you doing? You're moving around a lot.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. I was just, we got to go ahead and preface why Wilmer Hutchins has struggled, Kyle, and that's because a fellow Kyle hasn't been playing for them.
Yeah.
Are you going to take this game for me, too?
No, I'm waiting for you to kick in.
You
here
got it.
with your
Okay.
expertise.
No,
It's all
I
you.
was waiting on Chuck, man.
No, 8-4A is Heckma Harrison's domain.
Loves it. Let's throw things back to Heckma Harrison in the studio.
It ain't 4A, baby. I got everything. So, look, this is an exciting game. Kyle Douglas Jr., God bless him, man. He had a horrific injury first week of the season against my Lincoln Tigers, by the way.
Jerks.
But he's made it back from that. Thank the Lord he's back from that. But, guys, Carter Cowboys, they are back. I want to say it. I love it.
Go Cowboys.
The Cowboys are back. Guys, CC.
We'll clip that later.
Listen, clip that, please.
I got
but CC, too bad, too bold. That's the Carter Cowboys. They are Oak Cliff. All of these other teams that claims to have the swag and Oak Cliff and all, Oak Cliff belongs to Carter, man.
Ooh,
It
shots
always
fired
have.
soft.
It always have been. Always will be. All of the coaches, all of the players, everybody's trying to mimic what the '86 Carter Cowboys did. That swagger, that bravado, all of that, man. And so they've been trying to mimic that for years, and they cannot, because Carter, back in the day, guys. Hey. 86, I know none of you guys were around then.
Oh, I followed the team. I know exactly.
But
the 80s were my favorite.
Jesse Armstead's a dear friend.
Hey, let me say this to you guys. That once upon a time in Oak Cliff, there was a team called the Carter Cowboys that were awesome
What if I
kids.
told
Gather around, kids.
I saw the
Gather
Carter
around.
boys
No,
on 30 for 30.
No,
Come
I'm telling
on.
you, the 30.
I saw Friday Night Lights.
The 30 for 30 did not do it justice, guys. I'm telling you, these guys were awesome.
The show or the movie?
Both. Either way.
All of it.
But these guys, Carter is back. And when Carter's back and they're playing good, it's almost like when the
Texas high school football's back. Man.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like when the Miami Hurricanes are winning. It feels like when the Dallas Cowboys are. You know, it just seems like football gods are just smiling on you for some reason, right?
Yep.
That's how I feel. In this game, guys, I look for Carter to come out and do what they do. They're a balanced offense, but they rely heavily on Jamarian Jones, Mr. Everything for them. They're back. He's at 700 yards so far in the season. But, guys, they have a guy, Brainard Wright, that plays defensive line for the Carter Cowboys.
He's legit.
The kid is bigger than the door. And look at the door.
He's got
door.
the SEC
That's
body.
a big door.
It's a solid
We talked
door.
about the
Doors
SEC
I've
body.
seen.
That kid's got the SEC
Oh,
body.
man, he is. Every SEC coach, they are flying down here private to try and get this kid signed because he is a man-child in the middle. I don't know what Kyle Douglas Jr. is going to do today, but I tell you what he better do is do it away from Mr.
Run
Wright.
to the outside.
Because Mr. Wright will put a hurting on you.
Wow.
That's my hood, okay?
I like that.
You need the swagger.
No, he deserves it. Yeah, give me the swag. Give him the swag. Yeah.
I got that shit.
Well, you just broke the shade.
Thank God you didn't break it.
I didn't. No, I did. I put this. No, I
No,
didn't break
you
it.
definitely broke it.
No, I did not.
That's okay.
Strength. That strength.
Break the chain.
You're too strong.
No.
Gosh. That was the unbreakable chain. Isn't that what we call it?
Take it home and sleep with it.
This is literally our unbreakable chain. That
The
is.
chain is back.
You defied it.
It's okay.
Man.
Wow.
We still got to put our logo
Disappointing.
on it and
I'm not going to
everything.
say you ruined the show,
man.
Agma,
I love
but
it. I love it.
I'm not going to say
pretty
you didn't.
close.
I'm rocking this thing.
I hope you would.
I'm rocking it.
You started talking about the swagger of
rocking it.
the Carter Cowboys in the past, and I feel like
such a buzzkill.
Jeez.
Zach is so upset.
Can we even go the last 15 of this show?
I think we can.
Should we just shut it down?
I think we
Oh,
should
look
just
how
go
icy
straight
this is,
to.
though.
Oh, okay.
I like it. I think it looks good.
Hold on, move my mic.
It's a choker. That's sharp, baby.
Looks good. I like it.
It's so good right at home. Where's the other
Oh,
two?
you're never going to take that off.
Going to the tag board. Going to the tag board really quickly here. Guy Frazier is out at the out at the hutch, as they call it, and that's just kind of a cool look.
Are those
overall.
bathrooms?
I don't know, but it looks cool. It might be the back of the press box. I'm not really sure. I've never been out there. It could be really fun.
Just like
but
in the middle of just
Exactly.
nowhere.
They walk
Kinda.
at the fields right behind.
But yeah, we'll check in with good old Uncle Fraz himself coming up here in just a little bit as that one unfolds. Let's go to Lancaster and Mansfield Timberview. We're starting to run short on time, but this is an under-the-radar game that has got a lot at stake in District 6 5A. That's a district that's been dominated by Highland Park the last couple of years. By the way, Highland Park may be moving up to 6A. Saw some numbers on that earlier that we'll have to talk about.
Snapshot day, they weren't able
I saw
to
that.
keep the snapshot down.
They're
Someone
about
get Dunklin
100
on the phone.
I think they're about 100 over what the cutoff was last year, so that might be interesting. Now, Lancaster and Mansfield Timberview, though, Timberview's kind of been a squad, despite those two losses, that has really been impressive here in 2019. Can Lancaster get the win on the road, boys?
Yeah, this is going to be an outstanding football game. D1 athletes galore, 4-0 teams, both of them in their district play. So they're really fighting for a district crown here in this one, along with Highland Park, probably to play second fiddle to HP. But either way, tons of talent. And you look at what Timberview's doing. Their defense is back-to-back back-to-back shutouts. They've allowed 2 points in their last 3 games. They won 5 straight. They lost their first 2 games of the season to Bigsby, the reigning Oklahoma State champion, and then Lake Travis, who's a 6A team. So they went up and played up. This team, though, offensively is revolved around Jaden Hullaby. He's a Texas commit. He does everything for them. 506 yards, 7 touchdowns passing. He's also got just under 700 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns. That leads the team. He also has 5 catches for 177 yards and 3 touchdowns as a receiver. So Jaden Hullaby is X, Y, and Z. I don't know if they're going to line him up at quarterback for this one. They might just want to play him at running back. Maybe they utilize him out there in the slot a little bit. That'll be interesting. We'll have to talk to Guy about that later to see how Jaden Hullaby's utilized. But I think that he's probably the best player on the field. I mean, without question. They also have a guy in Stacy Sneed. He's a Colorado commit at running back.
Stacy Sneed is dope.
Dude, Stacy
he is
Sneed
amazing.
Is an
I love that kid.
Absolute stud muffin. This kid's averaging 8.4 yards a carry. And you look defensively, we got 2 elite corners in this football game for Timberview. It's Jalen Kimber. He's committed to go to Georgia. Big kid, long, 6 foot 170. That's going to be fun. But on the other side, you got Lo Johnson. LaRondo Johnson committed to go to LSU. You've also got
SEC matchup.
And on the opposite side, you got Stoops at corner for them, who's going to play at Baylor, another long-ranging 6'1" corner for Lancaster. So Lancaster, they got 2 bookend lockdown corners on the outside, not to mention Travion Newton, who's got multiple D1 offers at their defensive line. So offensively, it's going to be Hullaby, it's going to be Sneed for Timberview. The defense for Lancaster is what definitely carries and stirs the drink for them. But they've got an outstanding running back in Trey Bradford. Trey Bradford, also multiple D1 offers. Baylor, Oklahoma State, USC. They're all sending him letters of intent. And their defense has pitched 4 straight shutouts. So This is going to be a physical, backyard football, ugly, smack you in the mouth, defensive kind of football game. I can't wait for these 2 teams to get it going.
Now you talk about Hullaby. Hullaby is a kid that was just at Bishop Dunn, and then he transfers. I mean, so that you talk about the transfer portal.
A lot of people have failed from those schools.
A lot of movement, and it had a lot to do with
last year.
Yeah, all the Beesons.
Yeah, so this is a big game, and you talk about D1 smorgasbord here on both teams. So this obviously a lot of implication on this one, but I don't know who I got in this. Is this a pick one too?
This will be a pick 'em game.
Why?
Yeah,
what is up with you? Would you just say how I can make this as difficult as I possibly can?
You said the Flower Mountain game was going to be the biggest one and your favorite one of the night. Do you want to walk that back?
No, I'm still looking at, but this one's fun too.
I know.
But can I go Flower Mound 6A? This one 5A?
Oh,
sure.
God.
Why
Maybe.
not? Just because you asked so nicely,
please.
So
Yeah.
Marcus and the Jaguars win. That's what it is.
Wow.
Slap
So
in the
that's
face
going
to
to be.
Timberview.
This is such an under the radar game in terms of like the overarching coverage that's around it, but
it needs to be covered.
It
heavily.
needs to be. It needs
This
to
is
be
a big
one of the
time
top
football
notch
game.
games.
So much
6-5A.
coverage. Do we have anybody out there?
We do not, just because it's in Mansfield and that's a long way from us.
It is a long way.
So
It is a long way.
we don't have anybody out there, but we'll definitely keep tabs on it for sure.
Darn it! I thought Fraz was at that one.
No, he's at Carter.
He's
and
at Carter
Wilmer
and
Hutchins.
Fraz,
Yeah.
That's a mistake.
You made a bad call.
Sorry.
Although, man, Carter and Hutch is also good.
They're both good games.
Shucks.
Maybe we'll send him out there.
So many good games tonight.
Let's go to J.J. Pierce. J.J. Pierce.
Hey, Mansfield, it ain't that far, Fraz.
Can you
Give
do
me a
half
break.
and half?
Both teams coming in at 4-3 in this one. Lake Highlands in that defense has been impressive. However, the offense has not necessarily helped them out a ton. J.J. Pierce, the defense has been a little bit of a struggle this year, though.
It's 2 teams that really want to run the ball, and with Lake Highlands, they want to run the ball not only with their running back, but with their quarterback Mitch Colson, who's their second leading rusher, but Tyson Washington at the running back spot, the senior, the dude's been a stud this year. And Lake Highlands, I just think ultimately with their defense that they bring to the table that Richardson Pierce doesn't quite have, I think that's the difference in this game. But this type of weather, I mean, this is what benefits a team like Lake Highlands. You're a team that runs the ball extremely well. You play phenomenal defense. This type of weather, you were built for October. You were built for November right now, and this a necessary win for both teams. So I do think Lake Highlands at home comes out on top because of that running game, because of that defense. But I'll tell you, Daquan Landon, the senior running back over there for Pierce, that dude over 1,200 yards on the ground, 12 touchdowns, 8 yards per carry. So that Lake Highlands defense is going to have their hands full, but I think they're a better squad than Pierce, and at home, I think they get the job done in the bad weather.
Yeah, the bad weather playing a factor, but both teams who like to run the football could help out
100%.
a little bit in that one. Let's go ahead and move forward, though, because we've got one more game we got to get to before we get to our predictions, and this is such a good football game, 7-6A. We talk about some of the better matchups. This one is incredible because of what it means in district play. Cedar Hill hosting South Grand Prairie. This is a South Grand Prairie team that has shown flashes, but has also taken a couple steps back here and there. Cedar Hill, the same way, really. I mean, 2 losses early in the season, but they have found their footing as of late. Is this a Cedar Hill Longhorns team that could kind of put away or at least distance themselves from the Warriors tonight?
Yeah, I hope that. Nope. Let me back up. I gotta back up because you know what?
Rewind it.
Hey man, I've been doing a lot of apologizing to these guys because remember I said Cedar Hill was living on their reputation, and I can't do that again because Cedar Hill has been putting it on their opponents lately. Caden Salter and Quinn Bright, I mean they're lighting it up for Cedar Hill. My guy Corey Allen at running back, he's also a part of that 3-headed monster. But the other part about this has gotten Cedar Hill in good footing in that district is their defense. Defensive end Charles Esters, free safety Brett Lynch, Matt Brezia, and Derek Dunn. I know I said your name wrong, son. I do apologize.
No, you nailed
it. I did. I said it wrong. These guys swarm to the ball. You watch any huddles of these guys, the defense is swarming, and they're the difference makers for Cedar Hill. But here's the thing about SGP, the Warriors, because we don't get any injury reports or anything like that, last week, Drizzy Drake Logan didn't make the stat sheet. Yeah. So obviously he's out, and he's everything for the Warriors. Now, going on to the other side of the ball for the Warriors defense is outstanding. They get turnovers, sack strip, fumbles, all of those things for them, but they have got to get some type of push tonight on offense. They're gonna have to figure out how to manufacture some points tonight.
That's a big point. And you mentioned Cedar Hill, who has just kind of been running through the District of Doom as of late. That Mansfield Summit win that they had a couple of weeks ago, 49-21, after Mansfield Summit took down DeSoto last night, that win looks a lot better for Cedar Hill.
Absolutely.
And they've got Mansfield on the road next week and then DeSoto on that Thursday night matchup to round out the regular season. So Cedar Hill's in some pretty good position right now moving forward into district play. So with that being said, we've got time for some predictions around the area. 5 games. And, of course, I'm leading the way, 30-14 on the year. Zach is kind of caught up a little bit, back within a game.
Sneaky.
Heckma has kind of had a couple bad weeks in a row, just got 2 wins last week.
Okay, never mind. Y'all doctoring the numbers. Never mind. Go ahead.
Go back and check it.
Yeah, there's just.
Go back and check
I hear you, Heckman. I hear you.
Don't look at me. I have no control over this.
Nah, I know what's up.
Go back and check it.
It's Kyle.
Go back and check it.
I'm not checking it. Go ahead. Come on.
Yeah, you shouldn't check it because it's right, and it'll be a waste of your time.
It's literally within 3 games apiece.
Yeah, just make it up. Okay?
It's comeback season, Heckma.
Just make up the
you and me.
Make it up. And I'm going to go first. So if you want to beat me, you can pick against me.
Yes.
Let's see how that goes.
I'm going to do that.
You see how cocky he's gotten all of a sudden?
Colleyville Heritage and Grapevine.
He's up right now.
Battle of the Red Rail. I'm taking Heritage in this one. They can put up points. I think they're going to win it I guess, quote unquote, on the road. But at the same time, streakers everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be an interesting football game. But I think Colleyville Heritage comes out on top. Eric, start with you.
I guess I'm just going to go Grapevine because I got to beat Kyle. Grapevine gets the victory. Big home win. Big home field advantage.
Heckma?
I'm going Colleyville Heritage on this one.
Of course. All right.
I concur. Give me Heritage. I'll take the
yes.
Eric's
This is what
by
I needed.
himself
This
in that one.
This is how I come back.
That's
gentlemen.
how you catch up. Let's move on to the battle for the mound. Flower Mound Marcus and Flower Mound. Who is going to come out on top in this one? I'm going to go with Marcus.
Shoot.
Close.
Yeah.
Close game, and I'm going to go with Flower Mound Marcus.
Yeah, same here. Coach Atkinson. He's the gutsy coach. He's going to make the big call at some point. Put him over the top.
I like it.
I like Blake Short. I think that he has the experience in this game. Pierce Hudgens, like Chuck said, Pierce Hudgens has to, slick that blonde hair down and get to it, bro.
Yep.
So, going Flower Mound.
I like that.
I got to go home to a Flower Mound alumni. So I'm picking the Jags in this one.
Oh, that's
wow.
interesting.
It's going to be a rough
picking
night.
with the heart there.
Yeah, all right. I respect it.
Picking with the heart.
But you're wrong.
That sounds like it could be a song, but it's not. Parish Episcopal in the TAPS level with Prestonwood Christian. This is the battle of the Beam / Harrison. I mean, his last name is Green, but that family as well.
Either way,
the family affair over in Prestonwood Christian. I'm going to go with the home squad, Heckma. I'm sorry. I'm picking against Parish. I'm going to go with the Lions in this one. I think they're slightly the underdogs here, but I think it being at home with them having the sloppy weather and the fact that could affect Preston Stone and what he's able to do with Parish, I'm going to go with Prestonwood Christian here.
Prestonwood busting out a new defense this week. I don't really like the idea of that. Guys that have been since the spring practicing one thing, and all of a sudden in 4 days you want them to turn around and when the lights come on do something completely different. I will take the better quarterback, the better team, Preston Stone and Episcopal.
I'm going with the defense. I think that, not even with my heart here, I just feel like Parish Episcopal has the better defense. They've proved it over the course of the season, with the one loss being falling asleep to Hamp Fay. But I am Parish Episcopal all day.
It's another one of those hurdle games for Parish in terms of Prestonwood, who's kind of been that TAPS leader, for the last decade plus. Parish emerging as an upstart program. That secondary, that defensive switch kind of scares me a little bit. Something maybe Preston Stone and Parish isn't ready for, but I think Parish is the better football team.
Yeah.
They should win this game.
And honestly, if you put them on a regular day, I think I would pick Parish 100%, but I think it's the weather combined with the weird defensive adjustments.
Neutralizer.
I think it is. I think it's a neutralizer, and I think Prestonwood, with it being at home,
Evan
has
goes
an
for
opportunity.
180 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I like it. That's okay. I would be totally happy taking an L if that were the case.
You're going to take it.
That's
Go
fine.
ahead.
Carter at Wilmer Hutchins. I'm taking Wilmer Hutchins.
What?
Yep, the Hutch.
I'm going to take Carter for the exact reasons that Kyle is taking Hutch.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. Heckma, I guess you're going with Carter.
See, too bad, too bold. Ho, we all know nothing about that. Let's go. You all know nothing about that.
That's good.
The bands will be absolutely brilliant tonight. Without a doubt, the battle of the bands between those two. I think Kyle Douglas Jr. has a chance to be the best player on the field.
I agree.
Okay.
But I'm taking Carter.
I knew the butt was coming.
That's the second game in a row that I'm all by myself on, right?
This is really good for me.
But you got a chance to pick up two.
Watch me just drop all the way to the bottom of the standings.
Or it could be
happen.
fantastic.
What we're looking for.
Lancaster and Mansfield Timberview. Dang. It's tough. This is the one we rounded out on. I'm going to go with Timberview here.
Yes, I go Lancaster on the road. Trey Bradford.
Could you do that fast enough?
No, I couldn't.
Lancaster, give me that right now.
Lancaster now.
I'm going Lancaster. I just think Lancaster has the better defense, offensively, more potent. Going Lancaster.
Yeah.
Go Timberview.
Man.
Just do it.
Yeah. He opens with that. He is not sure.
Not confident at all.
I love Jaden Hullaby, but I agree. I think Lancaster's just got better overall talent offensively with Latrell
Is this another
Caples.
game where you're by yourself?
He's going to
three.
Dog, you're going to either dominate.
It's either up or down.
This is
I'm
good.
going Lancaster. Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be interesting. So that's our pick'ems. That's our kickoff show. It's time to play the games. It's time to get. Well, it's going to be a sloppy day, no doubt about it, out in the North Texas area. Rain everywhere. Everybody stay safe driving to the games. If you're falling behind a little bit, get there safely. Don't rush. Be safe out there. Have some fun. It's Friday night in Texas. Ain't nothing better. We'll be back at 9 o'clock, 9 to 11 from the Star in Frisco. For Zach Wolchuk, Heckma Harrison, Eric Chiafalo, Caden Gates, and Matt Kent in the other room, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you here in a little bit.